Welcome back to HGC Eastern Clash. I am the host of today, 安娜丽。欢迎继续回到我们的暴雪赢吧亚太对决第2天赛程的最后一场比赛现场，我是今天主持人安娜丽。那很快呢，我们今天第2天赛程已经到了最后一场比赛。刚刚呢，在我们的前3场比赛呢，这个3个队伍都是来自于韩国的队伍，获得了晋级4强的机会。而最后一场比赛呢，是由韩国的 Team BlossoM 对上中国的 TheOne HGC。那现在呢，这个最后一个4强的席次，究竟是会由中国的战区队伍晋级，或者是由这个韩国的队伍晋级呢？相信呢，对于我们这个中国战区的队伍，应该是呢，抱持最后一个希望，究竟有没有办法抢进4强呢？待会我们就会见真章喽。The coming match is the last game of today. Team BlossoM from Korea versus TheOne HGC from China. It is also the last hope for Chinese teams to advance to the top 4. So, who will win this game? Will the one succeed or just become the end of the journey? So, let's handing off the stage to our casters. 接下来就把我们画面交给主播塞平。
Ladies and gentlemen, the last bastion of China is here to stay or to drop out of the tournament. TheOne are the only team left to make the fans at home proud, or they could just line up next to SPT and all the other teams that tried so hard and just drop it out. I'm joined by Trixler and Calder, and judging from the games that you just cast, what are your predictions here? What is your overall opinion on the last Chinese team tournament?
That was really the wrong question. Like, I'm still tilted at SPT.
I could tell.
I am actually angry because I think they had great opportunities. They had a great first map. I really like what they've shown there. Strategy didn't work on game 2. That's fine. It happens. Misaka was a little bit too aggressive. But the way that they lost the 3rd map disappointed me to an extent that I'm really mad, because I want them to do well. And they had so much potential in that series. All they had to do was play it safe for once, and they can't even do that. And that makes me really worried watching the next series, because if TheOne cannot overcome that weakness that China seems to have, then I think we're going to see a very, very clean 0 again.
With that being said, though, I feel like that can be echoed for BlossoM here on the right side. I'm looking at Gandor on that Warrior play today, and I am disappointed, especially in the Anubarak, constantly being out of position. I feel like he even cost his team a couple of games away he played earlier, so I hope he cleans that up. But if he does not, that gives a chance here for TheOne to be the ones for the Chinese team to maybe get a victory.
I can see that. I actually agree with you. Some of the Anubarak play that he showcased on Battlefield in particular was a bit questionable. I'm just really doubting China at this point, and I feel sad about it, because I said it before when we casted yesterday. They were this massive, powerful region in 2015 that everybody was afraid of. They invented the Chinese bush meta where everybody got constantly baited, trapped, and it was just so awesome to watch it. And now they still show that aggression that we love, and that makes very entertaining games. But then when you finally fall in love with the team, and they have you at a point where you're like, oh yeah, these guys are awesome. They have the game won. And then it's just like, you know what? Actually, we don't really want to win, and if we just fall over here and die, then we lose the game as fast as possible. I like.
As such, though, guys, you can let us know if you agree with Haldor, or if you think that's still, if you still think that China has some life left in it. Me personally, I think you can spell China without NA. I think they can pull it off, although the plays might sometimes be wonky.
Was that a positive?
Yeah. That could interpret it the way you want it to. I mean, we saw what NA could do at the Western Clash, right?
Okay, let me interpret it for you, please.
no. Let him be the translator. Please, let us know what Kendrick meant to say with that. Please, Caldor.
No, I want China to do well. I want TheOne to come out and say, okay, we also spotted some weakness in the play of BlossoM. We've watched the previous series. We think we spotted something that we can exploit, and I want them to do exactly that. If we get that, I'm a happy panda. I'm just really afraid, because I expected a lot from SPT. I didn't get any of that, and I hope that TheOne doesn't make the same mistake. So remember, if I get a 5-map series here right now, with TheOne bringing BlossoM to the limit, then I'm a happy panda.
To be honest, though, I think if you compare this series to the previous one, both of those teams are a different caliber. Tempest obviously being the #1 spot from Korea, and SPT being the #1 spot from China. I think both those teams are maybe going to face each other on a more narrow skill level. That's at least what we would like to see. And TheOne, they're a team that's pretty hard to predict, I guess, for BlossoM on the other side as well, because there's only so much data they could get, and this is a brand new team. It's the first international tournament for them to ever play.
Yeah, this series is definitely way more open-ended compared to the series that we've seen before. This is the one that I come in today and I say, all right, maybe this is a wild card. What did I do there? TheOne. That one was on accident, actually. And when I do a pun, I mean to deliver it. That one was on accident. But regardless, I feel like this series can be... Gosh, now I have TheOne just stuck in my head. And I feel like I can't say this. Like, I don't want to trip up and have Counter point it out and give me that dumb smirk. And then Kendrick's like, what are they talking about? Like... That's not what I want to happen right now. I just want to go straight to the draft.
By the way,
Junkrat's banned.
You're not overthinking this at all.
Definitely not overthinking it. This is very, very different, though. First off, Maiev being open, Tyrael being open as well, Genji at the same time. TheOne is attempting to switch up the way that we are drafting this weekend.
I mean, at this point, you have to just simply say, okay, I mean, I don't know if you can actually bait a Maiev, but that they simply said, okay, we're going to ban Junkrat, you're going to pick Maiev, and now I'm actually a bit surprised that we don't have a snap reaction by them, because if you let Maiev get through the draft, then I expect you to have an answer.
Yeah. I mean, Genji Uther is still a pretty potent answer in most situations, and Junkrat has been causing a couple of issues, actually, for numerous teams all day long.
But why don't you ban Tyrael here if you don't intend to go with them? Now you give Tyrael over to Maiev with a dive comp?
Yeah. That seems a bit...
risky? Odd?
Crazy.
Not the way we would go with the draft if we want to win.
I'm going to say they have a different answer here.
Okay. Well, BlossoM's still thinking about what they want to move into.
There's no way that you let a Maiev through the draft when you don't have at least a game plan where you say, okay, we can beat this, we can deal with it. So with them going straight into an Uther and Genji composition, saying we ban Junkrat over Tyrael, maybe they want to outplay them, play a bit more for a macro style here as well. We could see Dihaka coming in, force that, playing a bit around the global. Here's Tyrael. Not coming as a surprise. I mean, that's expected.
Well, that maybe is a little bit of a surprise here. We don't see the almost mandatory Malfurion being locked in immediately, but instead we see a good old friend of ours. It is the Rhaegar. And maybe I want to, you know, touch a little bit upon the Illidan potential that we have from TheOne. Hugo, it's his favorite hero by far. And if you think about the Maiev interaction, not only do they hate each other or love each other in the lore, but also Illidan could potentially evade all those tethers, all those umbral binds quite well, and just stick to the Maiev when she thinks she's got the upper hand.
Could be. Rhaegar is still the one hero where I look at and I'm quite asking myself why, especially since we still have Malfurion around, and we have seen a lot of Malfurion play here. And the one thing that immediately comes to mind is that BlossoM says, hey, this is a little bit fishy already with them giving us Maiev. Now they give us Tyrael too. Something's odd here. So I think from their point of view, they simply said, Uther's taken. Let's just make sure that we have a cleanse.
Yeah, they want to have a safety net to follow up on. There's also the possibility they want to go multiple melee, where Rhaegar does excel in when it comes to being one of the best supports for helping there. And also, we could have that controlled Illidan that you're mentioning. Blaze comes out as a ban here for TheOne, keeping them away, allowing them to be a little bit on the aggressive side with that Genji. Garrosh being hovered here for BlossoM, and they're going to take him out right away.
Yeah, and it remains to be seen whether TheOne wants to find one of those remedies that has worked in the past quite well against Maiev, the Johanna. One of the few tanks in the game that could potentially negate some of that CC potential from the Maiev. She could stick to her, she could actually lock her down, interrupt her maybe. Johanna not really necessarily one of the most successful warriors traditionally.
I'm ready, by the way, for this now. I want to see a bit of that.
The plan.
Yeah, I want to see the plan. We're going full A team right now. I'm
still sold on the double Arthas we got to see earlier in the tournament against a Maiev. It didn't pan out for the team that did play it, but still, TheOne floating around here trying to decide on what they want to pick up is scaring me slightly.
And as Calder said, they're taking their sweet time for this, either just to make sure to be 100% on the same page, or maybe they're all of a sudden quite unsure of where to go to with this draft, now that they've got themselves into a little bit of Maiev trouble.
Let me ask you something. Am I, by the way, the only one that always hears "Let the bodies hit the floor" from TheOne with Jet Li, the movie, every single time I see their name on the...
No, I was thinking about making that joke, but I didn't know if that movie is, like, too
known enough?
Niche. Yeah, like...
I was thinking about that for like a day now, and I always thought about how can I weave it in, and at this point I was just like, am I maybe the only one who even has that
funny
thought process?
Though, because to me as well, it triggers a little bit of a connotation here, but it's always the Highlander movies, you know?
Yeah,
there can only be one.
But you know the movie, right? Jet Li,
Yeah,
the one.
Absolutely.
It was a bit of a freaky one, but the soundtrack made it pretty cool, and it was actually kind of fun.
It's an oldie.
Yeah,
what a good
definitely
one.
is. I don't know how many people actually know that, so it's a good call that you made that we shouldn't go too punny on it, because let's face it, might be that everybody
Are you
is
calling
just
us
like
old?
around.
Trixler, is that what you're
No,
trying to get
Yeah,
at?
the
I'm saying
oldest
you're
guy
too
on
young.
the panel is calling you old. Exactly.
I think that movie came out right before DVDs, so any of those VHS watchers are like, oh, I know what movie you're talking about. And other people in the chat are like,
Hey, we're
what's a
talking to a
VHS?
guy that doesn't know what Monkey Island is. So
Okay, you're right, you're right. Speaking about an oldie and a good one, Johanna gets picked up, as you were mentioned. Strong against Maiev, good control, being able to deal with that pressure that would be coming their way, but BlossoM will now have to decide how they want to follow up this engage. They go with the Karazim and the Dahaka, so multiple melees coming out for them, and Maiev being their main damage dealer with Karazim to help.
Now all of a sudden we have this very interesting double support constellation. Although Karazim doesn't really fit into that main role as a secondary support, he can be played very aggressively. He has a couple of interesting tools that can protect allies while at the same time having aggressive potential as well. Earth Ally comes to mind just in case there are those strong auto attackers left to be picked here. What do you make of this Karazim, Kaldor?
It's a really good question, because they are insanely melee heavy right now, and I'm wondering how the one is going to deal with that. First of all, we have Malthael already in the mix on the side of the Chinese team with an Uther, so an opening that we've seen in the previous series several times, Genji, Uther, Malthael at the start. And Malthael himself should get an insane amount of value out of Tormented Souls when he jumps into these team fights. I could see that coming in here as well, but even poke damage from a distance that is safe would be something they can play around with. Even, I mean, you could go, can you get away with Gul'dan here? We haven't seen a lot of Gul'dan, but then again, if we're going to talk about mages potentially and going up against extremely melee-heavy setups.
Yeah. All right. It is the Tychus after all. A good old familiar face there as well. You know, Ballistics especially likes him so much, SDE being a true Tychus god. Now, when we look at those two drafts and the different philosophies that we've got here, like willingly giving up the Maiev versus just going for one tank only, which do you like a little bit more after seeing those?
I think TheOne hurt themselves with their draft here just based on that Junkrat ban. First off, because they gave away the Tyrael. Like, I'm okay with you like trying to give away the Maiev, but I feel like if you're going to have that dive-centric composition available, you don't give them Tyrael. Tyrael is one of the best warriors at trying to force that. So I would have liked to see a Tyrael ban there instead. And that also double hurt them because they couldn't find a poke hero towards that late stage that they could have used. And Junkrat would have been great to slot in here.
Again, is it crazy to think about Gul'dan here? And of course, we're coming in from
from
the Western meta hero. We know that the Eastern teams haven't really picked Gul'dan, so I get that completely. But from a Western perspective, Gul'dan would have been able to keep him alive, right? Around Uther, Johanna.
I think I would have. I see where you're going. I think Gul'dan is so hard to play into Maiev. I would have preferred a mage that was a little bit more safer, maybe a Chromie even, something a little bit further back. But
yeah,
Slowing Sands Chromie.
I see where you're going.
Thing is,
didn't even think about Chromie.
Yeah.
Gul'dan can normally keep himself alive a little bit as well there. But I don't want to take any time away from you guys because we're going to dive into the action of game number 1 between TheOne and BlossoM.
Yeah, and with this comp that we are having here, TheOne was incredibly confident that they could get away with giving up Maiev. So we're going to find out if BlossoM in this case is now saying, okay, thank you very much for the free win, or if TheOne has the answer with their composition here. And considering that they also run against a global, it's going to be a bit rough, I feel.
And the thing about melee compositions, too, is typically in the early game, they're a tad bit stronger, being able to force the fights, find a target, and punch them down pretty quickly, especially with the Karazim being here. So BlossoM intends to have a strong opener here on Sky Temple. And again, you having a strong opener on Sky Temple usually puts you in a good spot heading to the mid-game.
And they are just 5-manning it, with now Dahaka taking up at the top lane, but their 4-man rotation has headed down. And they're going to try and brawl here. That's already transparent right from the get-go. There's only a bit of range damage that we see on Tychus and of course to an extent from Genji as well, but there's just rotations happening between the map, and they would be happy if they at any point can jump on an isolated target.
Already, you see that as mentioned, as Tyrael and Karazim are watching that right side rotation that you typically see between the bottom lane and the middle lane. TheOne, though, adjusting pretty well to this, have put 2 in the top to bully out this Dahaka as much as they can. Hugo having a good lead there will set them up well, but also gives them the opportunity to move towards a night camp with that aggressive pressure at the top and allows for them to try and peel BlossoM away from their game plan.
Yeah, very quick camp also about to be taken on BlossoM's side, so that will put extra pressure onto the bot lane. Where Tychus is currently alone, and that's something where he has to be careful if Maiev is able to move in for the tether.
There's that night camp we were talking about. I'm just watching his rotations right now. BlossoM trying to echo back as well, grabbing theirs to the top left. One of the good things about grabbing a Rhaegar, being able to clear those up.
Yeah, it's interesting that Tychus is actually just moving up to the top, so apparently Malthael is going to take over bot lane duty, and Karazim can't quite believe what's going on because he has been hiding in that bush the entire time at the bottom lane, not quite realizing what was happening here. But this is of course for BlossoM a pretty solid situation now where they can use their own towers to defend against the camp here. Good tethers coming in, aggression from BlossoM as they are moving in and seeing if they can maybe even land a kill.
TheOne sticking near the spell aura, trying to stay alive here, make sure they get put down too much. Tahaka going to be coming in with the drag candy landing. He lands it straight on top of Luther, and that's one down, a second one down as well, and TheOne losing it 2 members in that fight. This melee composition paying off for BlossoM.
Super solid double kill that we have, and of course the camp now also taken out, towers assisting in it, and we have still the camp available with the spell aura, which is the most important part for BlossoM as they move through the top lane. Yeah, Dudu at this point able to just move away, no problem here fighting off again Hugo and Meng. But things are not looking too pretty for TheOne in the early game, especially with the damage that BlossoM is currently pushing out against the top wall.
No, this is looking horrible. A 4-level lead over TheOne. They take down the turrets in the top right corner, continue to keep pushing, and the spell aura is still nice and healthy, and they have a Maiev that can go at any point. Speaking of it, 2 tethers connect. We're going to have TheOne come up for the defense of that spell aura, helping out a ton here for BlossoM.
Rhaegar was in a bit of trouble here, but is able to move out. The problem is that now the well is about to fall too, and that means if you take over the top temple, you are immediately firing away against the fort itself. There's so much structural damage already on the one side that this is starting to become extremely scary for the Chinese team.
That it is, and TheOne hoping to make a play here, gets aggressive on Dudu. He's going to be able to jump away. Now, I do want to mention Tahaka right now. Wiz is really making this pay off for BlossoM. Typically, when you're running a multiple melee type of composition, Tahaka being in a spot where they can double soak and still rotate in with that global ability is a wonderful pickup. And BlossoM so far is showcasing that as Tahaka soaked for those double lanes while BlossoM pushing the top.
Yeah, BlossoM pushing the... First of all, getting the temple in the middle, and even now the pressure play here against Hugo, but we see them starting to get a bit more aggressive towards camps as well. Once more, we have also at the top level 7 talents, by the way, already in the hands of BlossoM. The fort at the top is still in play for TheOne, but we have now a chase in the mid lane as they are attempting to go for Genji.
And Meng on the top right will jump straight into a Karazim that delivers a couple of punches to his face, but able to kite back towards Zara, who will give him the heal, but TheOne has to pull away completely, and BlossoM should be able to take over this middle temple. Hugo goes in and tries to be a little on the aggressive side, but it does not pay off. But the good news is the rest of his teammates came in. Can they get a kill?
Malthael going in here, and especially Dudu on Karazim, unleashing the Sandstorm, going full the route here.
Wow, the Sandstorm is a kick-in, and TheOne will be able to grab the last couple of shots here in the middle lane. It'll zap down a tower, give them a little bit of experience, and they're hanging in there. The question mark for, I think, us is what happens at level 10. Will TheOne be able to handle a fight against BlossoM?
The aggressive invade, yes. BlossoM is just saying, we are ready to fight, and they're going for it. Lucky, not so much. Moving out, barely surviving here. The tethers are in, as we're seeing once again. Maiev unleashing the power here. Meng barely jumping out. Modern has to be careful, Maiev, but they also have the healing ward in the back that keeps them alive for the self-sustain. Meng goes in and barely dances back out. No kill just yet as Johanna falls, and that unleashes it all. Tyrael on the other side is exploding. They get Malthael a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Team BlossoM as they also sneak in the camp.
An absolutely ridiculous fight there. Malthael in a position where he was actually getting a solid amount of auto attacks and cleaving consistently against BlossoM, but the healing and shield were just barely enough for BlossoM to find a kill and then a second one. The Giants also go over to BlossoM at the same time, and they are sieging this fort on the bottom. And with 10 right around the corner, TheOne won't be in a spot here to contest his temple that's spawning soon.
And again, just look at the structural damage. It's not only the Giants that are having the the fort at half HP, but in the meantime, the wave itself took out one of the towers. Now we have nearly level 10 for BlossoM. That's an easy boss if they want it, or they can simply make the play for the temple itself.
Especially with Tyrael being on there. Completely good point there for Galdor. BlossoM has that push in the top left. Tahaka can stay there and hang around the entire time. All signs point to yes here for BlossoM for a quick victory in game number 1. But TheOne they're doing their best here to get to 10 and just try to hold their best.
Dehaka also with the global now, even adding more power to that push through the night camp at the top lane. And already we have BlossoM sharking around at the boss area. Now they have to be slightly cautious since the one is of course closing on level 10 abilities too. But we still have them with the opportunity to also pressure through the bot lane. It's options that we're talking about. BlossoM, they have many of them.
They have many of them, but they have to decide on one. That's one of the things that we have criticized with this team this entire weekend. Their decision-making at some points have been a little bit reluctant, which has hurt them. Now, will it be enough here for the one to eke their way back in? So far, looking like BlossoM takes the easier of options as they put one member on that bottom temple to siege away the forts. And they're going to start breaking down some forts. The one in the middle is at half health, the one at the bottom also low. So that means BlossoM can start to get a nice chunk of experience going their way.
And they do exactly that. And of course, it's all about structures. And we have the fort falling at the bot lane. The one in the middle, as you said, is about to drop as well. And there's still Dehaka to be considered. He was put under a bit of pressure earlier since the one has taken their own night camp. But he's dealing with it as we speak and can always join the battle here if need be. But we have BlossoM spreading out onto 3 lanes and soaking the experience, just simply trying to out-macro the Chinese.
Yeah, want to stay ahead. When you have a melee composition, you definitely want to make sure you do stay ahead. So you get the experience in the middle and the Hawk on the top. It's working on that 13. Whew. And with that spreading, the one not paying attention as BlossoM goes in for an engage in the middle, and they find a Malthael who's now dead for 20 seconds.
Yeah, going in, and making sure that they get the quick 7-sided as the cage was already in. And that's another dead Malthael. And in terms of kills, 6 against 1, BlossoM is definitely playing their cards right.
That Karazim really does have a catchy name. We should make that into a catchy song at some point.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really good idea. I think that could become a bit of an esport thing.
Yeah, it definitely could become a thing in the future. We'll have to back pocket that one as Lucky is taking some damage here from Doo as he moves in for the engage, looking to be a little aggressive there. I think I missed one. Whoops. 13 to 11 as BlossoM takes the lead, and they are in full control right now. The one still has yet to get a team fight, though.
And there's still the boss around. So, as you said, the team fight, we haven't really seen one from the one yet. And if, on a serious note, I mean, maybe when they play with Torment and Souls and they get the Divine Shield off of a good moment, they have Odin sharking in from behind and just like firing away one barrage after another. There is some chance for them. But of course, in an ideal world, they would try to get the level 13 talent before they engage into any of those shenanigans. The thing is that what I really like about the Korean teams we've seen play so far is they are doing an exceptional job most of the time to run advantages and trying to pressure with them. And this is exactly what we're seeing. You have a talent advantage, you have camps at the bot lane, you're trying to pressure with them, at least a bit. And that's what they're doing now, as the rest of the team is still holding the flanks, making sure that nobody's moving in from behind and cutting off the path of retreat.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's been Karazim that's been on the side that's been watching those flanks, and if he ever does get into a one-on-one, if a flank comes their way with having 7-sided strike, typically he can win out on that trade while his team rotates over to help out with the fight. So clever movement here by BlossoM and great setup for them as they anchor themselves. With a tempo activating in about 5 seconds, BlossoM will have a chance here to grab another tempo, but the one is about to hit level 13, and we've talked about it a couple of times. That's their chance to get a fight.
And they should be trying to look for it now, because they're 1.5, nearly 2 levels behind now. So the hail on coming back into this game, the comeback potential lies in team fights. But they are trying to move to the top and claim the temple instead for now. Wiz already smelling this out, immediately moving back. It's a very smart and heads-up play that we saw from BlossoM here.
They have to be careful, though. They can't put too many people on the top, or that boss play could happen here for BlossoM. And they did have 2 on the top, but Tychus rotates down. Here's a Warden's Gate as Modern goes in. He's stuck in a corner here as Johanna getting lower and lower. Finally does get picked off with Lucky picking out the Odin. They're going to attempt to fight back.
Yeah, no reason to laugh anymore for Hehe as he goes down, and we have the rest of the team jumping into that backline as we see Genji all of a sudden trying to go in for the kill, but he gets stunned out and drops.
Wow, Wiz with the good drag there, catching Genji mid-Dragon Blade to help secure the kill. Lucky barely gets away from the fight, but the fight is done. BlossoM can turn around and grab a boss, and they've already started it.
Yeah, they're going straight for it. So snap decision-making on the side of the Koreans here. 3-level lead, the talent advantage on top of it, and in the meantime, the pressure at the bot lane already through the camp. There are still shots left on the 2 temples, so BlossoM can now make the play for the bottom keep if they want to. They can also spread out on the map, trying to work already towards level 20, make sure that they soak the experience, and they find Johanna in the mid lane.
They find Johanna in the middle lane. She's able to get away thanks to that iron skin with Dehaka on the top side, as well as Karazim in the south.
Hugo!
This is a 3-man gank. And wow.
Yeah.
The reason why that pays off is
Hugo
is by himself. due to the fact that he sees 2 temples being grabbed with Dahaka and Karazim on the bottom, assuming that the team is not going to be rotating towards him. And BlossoM, with the sneaky play, snags him away.
Unlucky.
Unlucky, indeed. One of my favorite things to say.
Well, Hey at this point is still trying to defend here at the top. It's really a bit of a frustrating situation for them. The boss already eliminated the keep at the bot lane. Now we are seeing BlossoM with a 3-level lead up at the top. Here comes the Tether and BlossoM. They are looking for the fight here. The Haka is not with them, but he could at any point just burrow in and try to get the drag against the backline.
He doesn't even need to, though. BlossoM doing such a good job of poking, getting the one to respawn back with all 5 members in that top lane just to keep their keep alive, and that allows Dahaka to continue to keep running forward in the leading experience here. 17.5, almost level 18. Every time any type of mercenary camp pops up, BlossoM beeline straight forward, and they're grabbing the giants on the opposing side.
They're pinning the map blue at this point, and for TheOne, the name of the game is soaking experience, attempting to get level 16. That would give them a fighting chance for team fights, because so far they haven't really gotten the setups that they were hoping for. And we have asked the question during the draft, what's the answer for myF? And the current answer has to be they don't have one. At least not at this point. We need to see them find that perfect team synergy that allows them to take a victory here and a few kills, because so far they've only gotten 1, and that is just simply not enough.
TheOne is quickly running out of chances here to get back in this game, but they still have one more right around the corner, level 16. Will they be able to force a fight? BlossoM so far this game has done such a good job of dancing around TheOne. The chase here is a difficult one, but they have to find a way to get in. Gosh, I keep saying TheOne. That is a team name that is desperate to cast. It's so difficult.
The one chance, the one opportunity.
It's once in a lifetime. Oh my, well, the BlossoM might just try to give a fight over to TheOne. They have a spell aura push in the top line, a massive push moving on in. TheOne turns around, starts to fight. They're trying to at least get Odin pop.
Yeah, and there goes the cage on the other hand, and immediately we have also Sanctification being used, and Tychus is down. Lucky, a bit unlucky in this situation, as we have the second kill tinkering in. It's a triple, it's a quad, and it's a team wipe as we see BlossoM annihilate TheOne and starting to march straight towards the core, making sure that game number 1 ends up in the hands of the Korean team. BlossoM with the lead in the series.
Control in the early game, complete control in the mid game, and complete control over the macro. BlossoM is able to take this game here. Quick 1-0 over TheOne, and Korea continues their dominance over China.
Ladies and gentlemen, just wait until we get a tie at our hands, the 1-1 between TheOne and BlossoM. That would be the numbers stream. But anywho, back to what actually matters here. This first game didn't go so well for the Chinese team. BlossoM just proved to be a whole different caliber. And I do want to say this. Although TheOne isn't really on the same level as a team like Ballistics, I think BlossoM just cleaned up their play so much if you compare to the previous set they played today.
Yeah, TheOne went for a pretty cheeky play in the top right corner of grabbing those night camps and trying to push them in. The problem is BlossoM was able to grab that early and realize that push was coming their way, so they counter with their own night camp, defended it by their turrets, and then forced the issue when they had the spell aura advantage, getting multiple kills, and they took a massive lead. And when you have a Dahaka with a global available, usually keeping that lead is a pretty easy thing to do, and BlossoM just completely showcased that.
It's just from a draft perspective, they just gave them everything they wanted.
Yeah.
You get myF, and that's already one of the moments when you're looking at it, wait, really? Thank you so much, so let's see how we play it from there. And then you don't take Tyrael away, and you don't ban him out, and all of a sudden there's a myF Tyrael, and you're like, well, this is... For me, Rhaegar is still the pick where I feel they thought there's something coming.
Yeah.
Something where they said, let's pick a cleanse just to be safe. They already have taken Uther. Let's just make sure that we have something here. And then there's just nothing on that end. Malthael, I know that you love Hugo, but he had 0 impact here.
And I won't agree. It's not in his Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity of Hugo is Leoric, Sonya, and Illidan. When you see him on a different hero, all of a sudden he's not going to be that impactful. But I totally agree with what you guys said. If you let the myF go through, you better have something prepared. You can't play standard against that, where you just ignore the Tyrael, where you just let the myF go through. I actually expect them to go for something like, let's say, the Chromie or the Gul'dan. Even something like that we didn't even have prepared, I would have liked to see, because in standard play, I don't think TheOne has the player material and the draft knowledge to make it work.
Which is interesting, because when we talked to TheOne, one of the quotes that they said, hang on, let me run straight to it, is that they were confident they could beat KSV or any Korean if they needed to just by playing a meta. And so far, I have no idea where that confidence comes from. Because we have yet to see that this weekend in any way, shape, or form for them to be in a spot where they are going toe-to-toe with someone that is superior to them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. TheOne, they need to step it up immediately, because if they lose the next 2 games, that's going to be the end of the line for them. They're going to be out of this tournament. The Eastern Clash will remain and continue without any Chinese participation.
Yeah, the Korean mini-tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we all gear up for the MSB, I guess is one of the first inclinations of what we might see later on, of Korea just being quite dominant so far. But again, this is a best-of-5 series.
Yeah, SPT was the one that so far really has done some solid work in the series where they took a map of BlossoM. And once more, I feel they could have done so much better in the previous series as well. Yes, it ended in a 3-0 when
the first game in particular was so close.
First game, they should have won the first game. The first game was theirs. And arguably on the third game, they should have done much better as well. So I feel there was a lot of potential, and I'm sorry that they could not use that potential, but maybe TheOne has a draft or a map where they can really start to show, okay, we are here to fight, we're here to have an impact, and we want to at least showcase that we can put the Korean teams into a spot where they have at least some trouble playing against us.
All right, Hugo, let's go. Give me Illidan, first pick. Let's pull him out here, and let's just put all of our eggs in the basket. Okay, Genji's close enough.
That's already sweet, because if there's one player that we can very rarely blame for a loss of TheOne, it is Meng. Meng on that Genji has actually performed quite admirably, not necessarily in that previous game, but you know, in the regular season of HGC China and this tournament up to this point, Meng is definitely one of the more solid players. They just really need to tailor something maybe around the Genji that just makes him shine a little bit more.
Wasn't Meng a character in like Thundercats or something like this? Like, was it Thundercats? It was one of those
That's
series.
too old for me, Caldor. That's that's like old Super Mario Brothers movie. Like, I just never seen it, can't touch it.
I'm not sure it was Thundercats. I think it was a different one.
Is
but
that on Netflix or?
Shush. I actually think there was one where there was a Meng. It was like one of the villains in there. It was pretty cool, by the way. It was old school to the times of Saber Rider around that.
That was so cool.
Oh,
both of them are just
those were the classics.
Both of them are just looking at me like I'm
absolutely
crazy. Like,
amazing.
Let the old man talk, and I'm just sitting. Okay, someone out there knows it, and I'm gonna get a message or something like that. I know there was something.
Back in my day, we watched Thundercats as they ran around and they played with Meng. You like that? That's my accent I was working on. Is it good?
I don't know if you're from the southern states of the U.S., but you make it sound like...
I was looking for a comeback and I didn't get
You got nothing.
I got nothing.
You were like, that's spectacular. Do you watch NASCAR?
Wait. Just so you can appreciate it. I had nothing that wasn't insanely mean.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for holding back.
Thank you.
Because you've been so kind today in these drafts. Uther Tyrael getting picked up here for BlossoM.
You don't know half of it, by the way.
Defense.
Double protection, gentlemen. Yeah. We know this recipe, and we know it works very well. You put a blaze on top of it, all of a sudden you're going to have a bunker, and your team composition is going to become nigh unkillable. It looks like Garrosh seems to be that combo breaker. Maybe if you can't catch someone isolatedly, that could be the trick.
I have to say one thing. We talked a bit about how much... We talked actually a lot about how much of an impact Garrosh had on the meta. At the Eastern Clash, we talked about him showing up a lot more at the Western Clash, and I really like it. It's really fun to watch Garrosh. That's one of those tanks, the displacement, him walking in there, like a lot of the plays that we have seen at the Western Clash and here at the Eastern, which is super awesome to watch. And he's just one of those heroes that has a very... he adds a lot of entertainment value.
That he does. Fun to watch, hard to play against, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder if Mopsu had anything to do with Garrosh gaining even more popularity here in the Eastern Clash.
We should point out something, by the way. Mopsio, of course, playing very well for Zelts with that Garrosh, but we got Genji, Garrosh, Malthael. Malfurion hasn't been picked up. Typically, when you want a Garrosh, you want someone that you can CC with behind, right? And that Malfurion is typically what you pick up. Do we think this may have been a bit of a draft error here for TheOne, not picking up the Malfurion with the Garrosh?
I think it's a mistake already, because it's probably going to be Hugo on that Malthael again, and as Caldor said before, he didn't really shine as much as he normally does. So unless Lucky maybe wants to join in or jump in and play the Malthael here, I'm already a little skeptical here. But Stukov could still be an option too. Like, you throw someone in, silence underneath.
I just want to mention, Am I missing something, or is Malfurion still available?
He's still available.
Yeah, he is.
So I don't.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, but I don't think that BlossoM is now going for
not
the
anymore.
Malf composition. And if they banned out Malfurion, I would have completely been with you. But I still think that TheOne should pick Malfurion up.
Yeah, they definitely should now.
Because I absolutely agree with what you said. We had these combos where Garrosh throws #1 into a quick route. Could see it, as you said, with Stukov as well. So I think there's two good options for you, but probably Malfurion the better one of the two here.
Well, over to BlossoM.
And then again, Stukov on Dragon Shard is actually really cool to just hold that zone control on the shrines.
I think maybe they're sitting here waiting to see what assassin gets picked up here by BlossoM. If you have a diver, we've been seeing that massive shove actually being used very effectively to keep those away. We had it a lot earlier against a Genji. Now this time, luckily, TheOne has Genji on the side. But BlossoM will go straight into Blaze and Tychus.
The triple combo, all that protection is finally deployed here. We actually saw Zhongha perform really well on that Blaze necessarily, so I just can't wait to see how TheOne is going to try to crack that.
Ever since the Western Clash, I'm just so afraid when I see a team grab Tyrael and Blaze.
And
Uther alone is insane. Then you have Uther in the mix as well. These team fights are usually just a disaster for the opponent's team because you have so much sustain that just nothing dies if you play your cards right and don't overlap cooldowns. So BlossoM has just an absolute terrifying composition here, and TheOne is... They still have tools to break through it. With the isolations that you get through Garrosh himself, if you just pick off heroes throughout the game and can run with the advantage you gain through that, then you have a good chance. But in fair 5 versus 5 fights, that's not quite what you want to go into if you're TheOne at this point.
Yeah, the good news for them at least is that composition, that fear that you bring up, doesn't really come online until level 10. So with it being Dragon Share, you can draft some early game aggression that can try to grab on top of your opponent, get a kill or two. Maybe you can get a lead with a dragon, get a fort broken down, and at least pinch your opponent's back a little bit. But also, that's the other side of the catch-22 here, is that it's Dragon Shire, right? So you're going to be going to that late game at some point, and that Tyrael Blaze Odin will be something that you have to deal with.
Now, at least there comes a little bit of additional damage, a little bit of burst damage with the Greymane through. The Stukov being deployed here as well offers, as Calder said, zone control, offers a combo potential with the Garrosh. And also what Stukov can do that Malfurion normally can't do that easily is prevent one of those combos from even going live. If you have a good lurking arm, if you interrupt maybe a Tyrael while he's trying to cast that Sanctification, all of a sudden your aggression potential can actually shine through.
Absolutely true. And for BlossoM, of course, now the question also what they do in terms of damage output, if they want to have a bit more burst on this available. I could have definitely seen something along the lines of Li Ming here as well, just poke a bit more, add a mage to the equation. Haven't really seen as much of mage play in general as I would have expected, and also in this case, they go into Hanzo's stead. Once again, Honor!
Honor! All right, Hanzo getting into the mix. It's actually surprising to see that Hanzo has lost a lot of the prioritization and a lot of the importance that he used to gain a couple of months ago, especially when he was still in his original form. Yeah. What do you make of that?
Well, I feel like that was echoed more at the Western Clash. Actually, in the Eastern Clash, we're getting him more than we used to. Most of it was his auto-attack build got nerfed pretty heavily, so therefore he's been adjusted slightly. But on the Eastern side, they really do prioritize that Scatter Arrow build and being able to take Giants quickly, Night Camps. So if you have someone that can provide that damage, like an Odin or Greymane or even a Genji, Hanzo's completely fine to be like a pseudo-specialist, right? Being able to force engages with the Dragon's Arrow as you force his ultimate.
Disengage.
Or disengage, exactly. You can pop that too. And then, of course, being able to steal Giants and Night Camps, and with these pushes that we're seeing, it can be really effective.
And we've seen a lot of focus onto all the camps that you just mentioned, way more so than we saw in the Western Clash. So oftentimes even the bottom camp immediately taken, the Night Camps then comboed off with the Siege Giants, trying to put the extra pressure on. And I guess that's something that is also going to be reflected in this game. We currently have BlossoM up 1 game in the series. We find ourselves in the lower bracket in a best of 5. And now, of course, the question, can TheOne come back into this series, put the pressure onto Team BlossoM, and tie the series off? But it's going to be difficult because, again, we have that spectacular setup with Tyrael, Blaze, and Uther on the side of the Koreans.
I'm going to be watching, hey, man, I'm going to watch that Garrosh. If Garrosh can get some momentum and get some throws here for his team, start tossing some people from BlossoM over, that's where I can believe in the possibility of TheOne and the Chinese scene of having a chance of beating BlossoM. If not, I feel like they are going to fall flat. BlossoM at the very beginning here opens up the battleground, starts joining in on the minion waves, and starts pushing in.
And TheOne had already a really cool idea. They immediately at the start of the game, they didn't 5-man the middle. Instead, they already split out onto the lanes. They had Blaze at the top, and they sent Genji into the space between the mid and the top lane just to wait for any rotation from the mid lane, from Team BlossoM, to slow that down and put the free damage onto the target. But that didn't happen because Blaze took the safe way around. Uther, on the other hand, he didn't, and he walked straight into the trap that we saw down here. So the early game kill goes to Team TheOne.
You gotta be careful. Can't walk in that Bermuda Triangle. People get lost there. Uther now gone. Beard gone as well. He'll have to come back soon, and that's what you need here for TheOne. You need those picks. The control of that bush area is going to be pivotal for them. The problem is that BlossoM has a tool to deal with that. They have Hanzo who can reveal, of course, with his arrow, being able to pop in there before they go in for the rotation. So if they do that a little bit more, TheOne shouldn't be able to get any more freebies.
And I think this is something that we're going to see from here on out. BlossoM just reacting to it and saying, okay, we get it. You guys are going to try and trap us here. We can't walk into any of these areas without double-checking through abilities or through vision. Do at the bot lane, on the other hand, needs to be careful because Lucky, with the damage output that he has through Greymane, can really burst down Hanzo quite quickly. So, yeah, in this case, survives, plays it safe. But TheOne puts on the pressure for the objective.
Hanzo, gotta be a bit careful there. If he has that natural agility and Uther near him, should be alright. Genji set up another gank on that south side, looking to fight this Hanzo, but with Nasong showing up, should be a little bit more difficult for him to do so. Modern scouts out that Genji jumps to the left and is able to dash forward, but Mang has to run away for the moment. With 4 connecting for our teams, TheOne has done a good job controlling the shrines, but BlossoM is starting to etch their own control in these shrines.
And they now also have the Siege Giant camp at the bot lane, so they're really taking over the lane quite heavily with 3 heroes currently attacking. Whereas TheOne is spreading a lot of their power now out onto the remaining lanes, and that really allows BlossoM to put the pressure onto the bot lane and get some structural damage in.
Can they get a kill on Wiz? Wiz popping the Pyromania, gets that resistance and walks away, easily sustains right on through. If you ever go for a Blaze gank, you gotta be effective.
Yeah, full Wiz God up at the top, can't take him down.
Can't take him down there. Zato taking Spoke here on the south. A little bit of a silence here to get rid of the Giants. Clear up for TheOne. But BlossoM is starting to peel away here when it comes to experience. Hitting 6 already and on their way to 7.
Taking the tower down at the bot lane is exactly what they needed to do here. Now, we have TheOne working through camps. And Hugo has done the exact same thing when we looked at Sky Temple, where he also played Malthael. He was always busying himself around the night camp whenever it was up. But we have BlossoM reacting in kind and still trying to emphasize the bot lane with their efforts here. Just now going for a potential kill here with good silence. Trying to go for Lucky, and he's about to fall. Greymane is down. No survival for him. And yeah, is immediately dropping the wall here as well and refocusing his efforts onto the bot lane night camp.
I have to give some kudos there to BlossoM. They have noticed that Lucky is quick to pull the trigger on that wolf there, wanting to jump into the fight as quickly as possible. And so they call for the Tyrael and they allow for Tychus to sit there, take the damage, even with the silence, bring out the auto attacks, get Greymane low, and they get a kill because of it. Lucky will definitely have to pay a little bit more attention there because he has been so quick on the trigger that BlossoM is starting to punish it.
Yeah, but BlossoM now also has a bit of trouble at the top lane. With all the efforts that they're putting, all the resources were really pulled into the bot lane, and now they're getting a lot out of it. The problem for them really is the top lane, where we now see a united effort from Genji and Malthael to push Wiz back. And with the help of that camp, that's an easy feat for them. So BlossoM is currently not really trying to defend, they're just trying to trade. And Lucky, again, a little bit too far in, and he pays with his life for it. Tychus shuts him down, takes him apart, and we have now an open fort where BlossoM can go for the free trade.
I think they're going to get this fort no problem whatsoever. The shield's coming in from Tyrael, the minion wave joining as well, and yep, they just focus it down right away and jump up in experience. And guess what? In the top lane, Blaze, with that amazing wave clear from the far distance, was able to clear out that wave and save the fort.
Yeah, pretty impressive there. So we have now a 1-level lead and a massive positional just advantage on the bot lane for BlossoM, thanks to them taking the fort away as a retreat point, and that grips them the first Dragon Knight. So,
this is 10.
Yeah, this is definitely 10. They get the tower for free. They have the wall here already. They can rotate either with the Dragon Knight to the top or make the play for the fort itself. And with the minions now moving through, they have both options open. So level 10 abilities would allow them to dive behind the fort if the one stays and tries to defend it.
Even taking the well out first to make it a bit harder for the one to defend. That fort being focused down, the one goes for a counterplay as they try to rotate to the top. But the thing is, BlossoM is already here and their eyes are focused on Hugo. With Hehe showing up and showing off that Garrosh, they're going to play a little bit on the safer side, but that 10 here, so they're going to go ahead and move in and start to poke that turret.
Yeah, it's a really good call. The main reason why Modern was not trying to walk in and cut Hugo's path of on Malthael was that Hehe on Garrosh showed up and he could have gone for that flip. And once that happens, you find yourself on the wrong side of a wall and you're going to die for sure, so they didn't really want to risk it. The level 10s, on the other hand, are now in play, and this is really one of the moments where they could dive aggressively as the one don't have heroics yet. But they're closing in on it, they get the experience, and BlossoM doesn't want to play too aggressively here. They're saying, guys, we have this safe, let's just play the slow game. So far, everything's going well, our calls are showing some work, and let's just play to our advantages.
Having 2 forts over your opponent at 6 minutes in the game is definitely a worthy spot to be in here for BlossoM. The one moves over and starts to grab their giants. They're starting to group up a little bit heavily as a team. It seems like they're looking for a fight. They're getting a bit of desperate here in terms of, okay, we got to start to shut down BlossoM here. Because again, 10s come online. There's Bunker, Sanctification, Dragon's Arrow, Divine Shield, and potentially Odin here from BlossoM.
Yeah, teasing with an Odin here, trying to see if we might go for the drill instead. Haven't seen that in quite a while. And also, last rights against Tormented Souls. That's the big question for the one at this point. Haven't shown anything here yet. Now, we talked about Genji, and Dragon Blade is what normally is chosen, but we have seen a couple of X-Strikes at the Western Clash, just if you are afraid for the survivability of Genji and try to use that as an additional escape tool.
Oh, while we're sitting here waiting for Tychus to pick his level 10, let's entertain the idea of a laser. Do you think it actually works here? If you do pick it up, it's typically as a last-second block against a major combo like a Li Ming that could be coming your way. And there is something to say for when multiple melees are coming your way, you can use that laser to kind of zone them out.
I don't think you need it, to be frank, with the Tyrael and also Blaze. I don't think there's really a need for that as a tool. I think, yeah, they go for it. Laser.
Wow.
The laser goes in and they're trying to take Hehe down. Doesn't quite work out, but they also put the damage on Lucky himself, who's now extremely low and retreats right away. And we have the re-engage onto Hugo. Genji, on the other hand, he really wants to get some value out of his aggression. Is immediately repelled, though, and has to back off.
So the layover of defense is just a little bit too much there. BlossoM able to use the bunker just to deal with the Tormented Souls. They thought possibly the one would be moving in, so they dropped Sanctification as well to chase down a target, and they just completely get through that team fight easily. But the good news here for the one, they do have heroics up. Massive Shove, Taunt being available, Curse Bullet as well. Their cooldowns are quite low, and if they can follow it up with a good Dragon Blade, they can get a fight that they would like to have.
That was a barely cancelled Dragon Knight, but the second channel attempt goes through, and BlossoM is also about to hit level 13. So we're talking talent advantage and objective once again. Now Wiz might die for it, but this is still a hashtag worth it, and he drops the bunker, and well, I'm just kidding, he's not going to die here. He has the bunker, there's still a Divine Shield out that could be used, and so far they haven't really needed it. 20-second cooldown on it actually, my bad, but the kill against Genji, and yeah, nobody's dying inside of BlossoM at this point. It's the one who's struggling to keep their heroes alive. Hugo falls after Genji has already bitten the dust, and now we're having Stukov following them. This is just an absolute slaughter that we're seeing from BlossoM at the top lane.
They even bring the Dragon into the fight. They even turn their attention towards the fort on the top, and that'll be all 3 forts down for the one. The first layer of defense will be gone. BlossoM just controlling the pace of this game and being able to sustain through any type of attempt on their lives with the bunker play and the Uther follow-up. 5 kills to 1. BlossoM is starting to run away with this game.
Yeah, they definitely are. Dragon Knight in the middle now, working on the next few structures, trying to break through the wall and opening up the keep for an attack later on. Blaze is actually working on the waves in the back, so they could just wait for the minion waves to come through and then maybe see if they can pull off a bit more than that. But the Dragon Knight already cancelled here. We're seeing camps out on the map to be taken, 3-level, 2.5 level lead. It's a fantastic position for Team BlossoM to be in.
So what does it want to do here? A Garrosh flank into an engage with a massive taunt into a Malthael. Tormented Souls could be their option. It's just so hard to get that flank off when you have 2 tanks on the opposing side. that have defensive capabilities.
The problem is I don't really think you can rely on the flank. I really feel that for them in the early game, they needed to make more happen than they actually did. Trying to play through kills with Garrosh, maybe shortly after 10, isolate someone with Garrosh, get the taunt in, and then play around that. Because again, the 5 versus 5 setups that we're going to see here are insanely difficult for them to break through. They just don't have that burst potential to take someone down immediately. The only target that I can see them maybe get access to is Hanzo, and he's very well aware of that problem, so he's not going to put himself into a spot where that's possible for the one.
And while we do have some criticism for BlossoM and their ability to be aggressive with their objectives, I will say they are very defensive and willing to walk away from fights that they think their opponent might get an advantage on, and that is that is paying off for them very well here. As BlossoM is about to have a fight, TheOne moving forward, trying to get an engage while they were on even talents, and BlossoM was just skedaddling away right away the moment they saw any attempt of a gank to come their way. So BlossoM now gets 16 and can turn around and get an engage.
Yeah, and as BlossoM skedaddled away, you could see that TheOne said, okay guys, we need to do something before 16 is here. It's level 13 versus 13 talents. Let's try and grab the camp at the bot lane. If they fight us for it, awesome, we get our team fight, and if not, we have at least, first of all, taken the camp away from the map, but we also put a bit of pressure onto those bot lane structures.
TheOne toying around the idea of trying to take a fight against BlossoM in a 5v4 scenario, but nothing presents itself as Hehe goes in for an engage. Dudu is able to dance around it perfectly fine. Blaze to the top, Wiz grabbing the first shrine as it's time for another dragon, and BlossoM looks primed to grab an easy one.
Yeah, that's a freebie right there.
They're even discussing on who should get it. Modern turns around and grabs a dragon, and it's time for BlossoM to push.
Yeah. How did they decide? Rock, paper, scissors?
You think so? A game of tic-tac-toe?
Yeah, at this point it pushes the damage dealer in. And yeah, that's already the first pun. This is going to be a 12-minute keep. It should be at least. If in any case scenario, if TheOne somehow is able to burn it down quickly enough, but I don't see it happening, then maybe they have a chance here. But as you can see, the Dragon Knight is creating the space. And how do you approach this comp? That's still the big question. How do you go in and get any kind of value with Tyrael and Blaze just dancing around the damage dealers and playing this super safe, saying, guys, whenever you want, just come. We drop the bunker, we drop Sanctification, and you can fight there all day long. We don't really care because we have so many tools to keep ourselves alive, and then we can start isolating you, especially around Holy Ground with Tyrael, using the displacement here, using the stuns, and then, of course, focus on the target with Tychus and with Hanzo.
Well, TheOne is doing the best defense they can possibly do. They put Hehe in a position where he threatens the idea of grabbing a target on the back line so his team can focus on the dragon, and they do get rid of it here. A silence to follow up right afterwards as well, landing straight onto Hanzo, and a cursed bullet, but no immediate follow-up. TheOne still being behind a talent here was unable to get the engage they want. BlossoM walks away once again, takes away the Giants, and grab a keep and a half on that dragon.
TheOne is just in full defense mode here. They need 16 and they're gonna get it soon, and then I think with 16 they just have to go for it and force that fight. They are not going to get a chance after 20 is being hit, and BlossoM is doing what we've talked about during the first game already. They see an advantage and they use it. They pressure, they poke, they prod, and they do very well with it. They have taken the first keep already and they are working on the second and are closing on taking that down as well. Siege Giants commit and then they walk away from it. 16 versus 16? Nah, that's a little bit too fair for us. We don't want to fight here, so let's just back off. Haven't lost anything yet.
It's a little too fair for us. And the issue with this is with BlossoM having those defensive heroics, you being in the lead is always a blessing. You have full control over TheOne who is in a desperate scenario and is trying to force a fight. You have complete reactions to them, and that continues to be the case for BlossoM. I actually feel a little sorry here for TheOne, but it comes down to their own fault, right? In the early game, they just didn't get the fights they want, and this is the price they pay for not being able to use that Garrosh effectively.
I mean, BlossoM plays is really, really smart. And I mean, this is also a moment where I realized that if you read BlossoM backwards, it spells muscle.
I don't know what that means.
I don't think it means anything. I was just realizing.
High-level analysis here from Kaldor.
I thought it was interesting.
Can you read TheOne backward for us?
Inuit?
Okay, nice. I think that means we lost in French. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I had 5 years of French, and I'm pretty confident to say that you are absolutely correct.
Oh, hang on. A pick here in the middle. Could this be it? A silence here is going to be on the Tyrael. He's going in for the engage of silence.
Just kidding.
But the Divine Shield.
Is that the first time he used it?
That is the Divine Shield coming out. It is the second time they used it in the fight. Remember, it was down on the cooldown on the top lane earlier when Blaze was in trouble.
Good point, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But he still uses it perfectly there. That was almost what TheOne needed, though. Imagine if they get that Tyrael kill.
Yeah, that would slow BlossoM down for at least 30 seconds. There is a Siege Giant camp on the bot lane, and that is eventually going to push those catapults towards the core. There's a very, very aggressive stance. This is TheOne saying, we know we need to force something, let's do exactly that. And I like it. They're doing exactly what they need to do. Let's see if it works out. This is the best shot that they have, but here's the Sanctification. Bunker is already burned down, and BlossoM is trying to walk away from this. TheOne is going for it. The core, on the other hand, is already starting to lose hit points because catapults are on the core, locked in tightly. And you know what? There's also a Dragonite marching over because they're simply saying, yeah, we're fighting that battle at the top, but in the meantime, we could also just simply end it.
It's too late, you're right. With the Dragonite in the core, it's down to 20%, down to 10. It became a point where TheOne had to get kills just so they could stop themselves from being back there. Hugo gets there just in time to watch his core fall, and BlossoM goes up 2-0 over TheOne.
Yeah, he made it into the end screen, so that's something.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, TheOne is just one step away from getting one shot out of this tournament.
How long did you work on that
were you
line?
ready
The
for that?
entire
I
game?
spent the entire game thinking of the perfect way to say it, and I got more in store, don't you worry.
You delivered, man. Gold star.
Thank you, Trixler. It means a lot coming from you, you know?
I am the giver of gold stars. That's my title, actually.
So if you have more than that, give us another one.
Type 1 in the chat if you think Very needs a buff. I'll do it right now.
This guy has
Done.
he has his Twitch chat up on the desk. Is that professional?
Done.
Is that okay?
I don't know if that's cool.
Done.
I don't know if that's cool either. Well, one's coming in there, hoping to see if TheOne can get a win here, because this is their tournament life, as Kendrick said in a more elegant way than I, with his sick rhymes and his drops of the word TheOne. But I don't know if they can do it. Honestly, BlossoM seems to be on another level, Korea in general over China, and I think it's something that they just have to find something wonky to get a victory.
Talking about wonky, where's my Illidan that I was promised from Hugo? Where's my aggressive melee assassin player that we've seen now twice on Amalthiel that didn't really impress, that didn't really have the effect? It feels like they're putting so much on Malthiel right now because they're saying, we're going to get camps with him, and then we get some kind of macro control. That was never the case. And from everything that I've heard from Hugo in particular, I expected melee assassins aggression going in, trying to overrun them with Illidan, and I haven't seen that. Do you feel that this is something they need to bring out on map 3 now because it's more down their alley, or do they just try and play a style that I personally think is not going to be enough to crack BlossoM?
As an HGC China caster, I don't recognize TheOne anymore in this series. I really don't think, as you said, they're not bringing their big guns. They're not bringing the things that they're known to do well with. Hugo is not really shining as he could. So it remains to be seen whether they're going to be doing that in game number 3. There's only one way to check that one out, though. Stay tuned. Grab some snacks, grab some drinks, and we're going to be back in a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back to the Eastern Clash number 1 in 2018. There's only one more game potentially to be played here on the second day, and we're going to find out whether BlossoM can continue an immaculate streak here of making it a clean 3-0, or if TheOne still has a little bit of fight left in them. I'm back with Trick and Calder. Gentlemen, how was the break?
It was good. I think both of us sitting here hoping and I guess praying that TheOne does bring that fight up, because if they do not change the way they're playing right now, this will be the last game of the night, period.
So, again, we're coming back to aggressive compositions. We're coming back to
your
Hugo
identity
going
as a
forward
team.
at Illidan or something. I also want to say that user engagement is something that I personally absolutely love. So I want to give a quick shout out to Marty Hart, who has solved the riddle. It was actually Defenders of the Earth. Defenders, where we had Ming as the main villain. It wasn't Ming, but it was like at least the ballpark.
Do we
so
care at all?
Just let him
you
talk.
are.
I'm not looking at him, so you can't hear us. Okay, that is really
If
cool,
you don't
Caldor.
care,
That
who
is,
cares?
That is super awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm glad you made that connection. Gold star to you too.
And
Both of
Marty,
you got
you're
gold
going to get
stars.
visited by Alex Strauss in your dreams tonight.
It's getting late. I'm getting a little wonky.
even
I'm a little tired.
Even for you.
Let's go to the map ban.
Yeah.
I'm taking your job. I'm sorry. It's time for map ban time.
No
Let's
worries,
do
Trick.
this.
Trick, you can do this. Yeah, map is ready indeed. We're gonna see who chose it and where it's gonna take us. It is the Cursed Hollow. TheOne chose it, so they're deviating a little bit away of first banning, not banning Maiev, giving it to the opponents. And Cursed Hollow is a pretty neutral battleground. Maybe that will be their home turf to turn the series around, or at least make it a little bit more diverse.
Competitive. Is this
Competitive.
our first cursed holo?
No, this is not our first cursed holo. This is our first
Of the
cursed
day?
holo.
Yeah.
No,
Or
it
the
is
entire
actually.
tournament?
The entire tournament.
Wow.
I could have sworn that I had one map there already. No, but yeah, you're right. We haven't seen cursed holo yet, and we haven't seen Braxis yet, so it's the first time that we have
Well,
cursed
one of
holo.
my favorite things about Cursed Hollow is that if you have a strong early game and you're able to grab 3 tributes in a row and make an aggressive boss play with an aggressive Illidan maybe or an aggressive Tyrael composition, you can be quite deadly on this battleground. So this is a map where if you do want to bring the fight to your opponent, we could actually have it happen here for the one, and that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I really think that this is a good home turf for a last resort coming from the one. But also what we can't forget is that Cursed Hollow has traditionally been a really good battleground for BlossoM to play in. I remember the series against Ballistics in the regular season where the only game they were kind of getting close to it was the one they played on Cursed Hollow with, guess what? A Zeratul Illidan comp.
Right?
I'm game.
We're
Yeah.
down.
Bring it.
So
because
one way or the other, we might actually get to see an Illidan.
what they played so far hasn't worked out, wasn't even close, so I want them to just like mix things up. Play what you're used to. Go down into your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Even if you feel it doesn't quite measure up against the meta on the Korean side or against the level of execution, I can understand that you head into this as the underdog. That's absolutely fine. But show what you're strong at. If you feel you can't overcome in any other way your opponent's strengths.
Your new blood, bring your identity to the table. Make people remember you at a tournament. Let us look forward to you next time when we see your improvement. Because right now, I'm looking at their improvement as them trying to adjust into a mouthfeel composition, and they're not playing it right, and I'm disappointed. I want to see...
Murky.
Yes! Yes, thank you for finishing my thought, Caldor. Thank you. That is exactly what I want on a battleground where getting to the late game with Murky is going to be very difficult. Let's do that. Yes, please.
All right, I mean, I'm totally down with you on that train. Maybe not necessarily on the Murky, but definitely to put on a show here. Go down guns blazing, or just make the miracle happen after all by picking something that is going to confuse and going to throw off BlossoM, because the standard meta, as you will, the standard tournament meta is not going to work out at this level where the skill cap is a little bit too apparent.
They're thinking about their ban here. I think it has to be the Maiev if they want to go for the aggressive melee compositions. Maiev is very good into those.
Yeah, you could have also said, I think it has to be my F if they want to win.
Yes. I'm trying to paint things lightly here. I'm using a small paintbrush, not big strokes. Genji comes in here.
Oh, like, my F has been okay in this tournament. Has done really well. I think every single time IF was taken by a Korean team, that team won. So, okay, if they want to let Maiev through, at least do what they're doing right now.
Take away her best buddy.
Exactly. Ban Tyrael out. Okay, I can understand that. If you feel you can deal with Maiev alone, ban Tyrael and show us again that you have something prepared. They already tried a similar thing on the first map, but they let Tyrael through. And it backfired. This time they chickened out in the last second and they're saying, you know what, maybe just play it safe here and ban Maiev.
They probably had a team vote, and the main drafter was like, maybe we can get away with not banning Maiev, and the other 4 teammates were like, no. Ban Maiev. That's what happened there. That's my analysis on the situation. Genji first picked up for BlossoM, pretty true staying to what we've been seeing all tournament.
Yeah, the Genji, of course, could always be a force to be reckoned with, especially if it's played by a player like Wiz, if he wants to hop on that Genji train. TheOne, of course, now have a couple of options. They could either try to steal away an Uther, try to steal away something that empowers Genji altogether, or pick something like the Anubrak that could maybe tame the Genji a little bit if he wants to go on that Dragon Blade.
Yeah, I would absolutely be okay with that. I would also be okay with them just trying to cater to the map, pick that Tyrael, and make sure that you then either with Holy Ground, which has been very dominant here compared to the European meta, where we see Law and Order a lot more. You can also, I mean, in the later stages, even think about that Falstad, go full old school here. Not really usually a fan of picking Falstad into Genji, but still, anything that gives them a bit more control over the map and is more down their alley is something that I would absolutely get behind here.
And that is a big problem for TheOne, actually. We didn't really get the chance to talk about that earlier, but Hehe, the main tank, one of his major problems is not necessarily that his name is hard to pronounce and makes for a funny section in the game, but also his hero pool is very limited. And on those in-meta tanks like ETC, like Anubrak, for example, he's not always performing as good as other tanks in the league.
Well, luckily for them, with them having a strong ETC player, with them having Uther, at least you can set that ETC to do really, really well. Being able to drop down your own armor, but also the Divine Shield Mosh Pit combo can be a powerful pickup. So TheOne has set themselves up well for being able to draft into those strong heroes if they need to later on. And we keep saying it, but we want it to happen here.
All right, the Greymane is up though. That could be... Like, Meng actually, not only is he a formidable Genji player, but his Greymane is very lethal. We oftentimes call him the SCSC of China. He has a lot of games with it. I think like 20 games in total of the regular season and a very, very good win rate of 72%. So maybe that is the hero they can finally make work. It's hard to say. I'm still waiting for that extra touch of something special.
The
for
pizzazz.
Yeah.
Third time Tyrael for BlossoM. They played him every single game in the series so far, with obviously quite a bit of success. Now we are threatening Tyrael Blaze again. That's the moment when TheOne has the opportunity to either ban Blaze out or simply say, okay, we're going to take Blaze for ourselves. It is a big map. We could see Abathur play here. We could see Dehaka. You could play with the Global, or you could try to get the Slugger into position. And we have seen Abathur already banned out earlier by BlossoM, so they might be a bit afraid of TheOne picking him up, especially since Greymane is already part of the composition. So I don't feel you yourself have to ban it out. But Blaze is something that I would like to see addressed in some kind of way, either as a pick or as a ban.
I would have preferred the ban here for TheOne, because I don't think we've seen them move into Blaze yet in this tournament, which does worry me a little bit, leaving that open-ended if we saw the strength of it with the Tyrael, as you just mentioned. But they elect to move into the Zeratul ban, so my hope is that they pick it up.
The Blaze?
The Blaze.
Abathur, as expected. Abathur banned out. They've done it on map 2, and with the comp that we see for TheOne already, it makes sense to do the exact same thing here in Cursed Hollow. So now the question is, Blaze going to be played by TheOne? Are they taking him away from Tyrael and put him off the off lane? And if not, who else could it be? I want them to not go into Malthael this time. I don't feel it had the impact that they were probably hoping for. So that leaves us with either them going a little bit YOLO, as the Chinese do, and go for that Illidan, then maybe on that last pick. And it seems like, is that becoming more likely with now the Anubarak that you mentioned?
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
Is that going to be the Illidan here now?
That could definitely be the case here. I mean, Arthas is still in the mix, but if they wanted to pick the Arthas BlossoM, that is, they would basically send a warning over to TheOne. They could still adjust in the last second. And even so, Hugo was actually playing Illidan into the Arthas willingly, first picking it during the local season. So I don't think that's going to be a major obstacle for him to change his mind.
It has to be Blaze, though, right?
Yeah.
For BlossoM here?
And a support still.
I guess you could pick Arthas if you wanted to as
true.
well.
Just to be on the super safe side of things.
Yeah.
Yep.
BlossoM thinking about it
So
right now.
we are expecting, just to double check that, you would expect as a Chinese HGC caster,
I definitely hope so.
you would expect
There's
them
no
to,
Hugo here up to this point.
Okay,
Yeah.
so very likely for him to go into an Illidan, which means that we have mainly a Nubarak as the frontline tank. Okay.
Right.
Just full aggression, go in.
I mean, Leoric has seen a lot of play, even the Sonya, but those two heroes have become a rather rare sight in this tournament up to this point.
Rega.
Rhaegar for
Dehaka.
safety, Dehaka
And
coming
now comes the
in.
big question, ladies and gentlemen. How much aggression do TheOne want to put into this?
All right, everyone put your hands together, like that one thing called Bless RNG.
Channel the fell energy and summon the
Kaldor,
Illidan.
do it. You're not putting your hands together.
Yeah, okay.
Kendrick, okay, our hands are together. We are looking up into the sky, and we are hoping the Illidan gods
The Lord of Hate.
will
Feel
give us the
the
Lord
hatred
of
of
Hate.
10,000 Hero League games.
We want it for TheOne. This is the best thing for them. We believe in them. Everyone say amen? Amen.
10,001 years. That's the hatred we're channeling right now.
There
Okay.
you go.
It's not a bit much.
We
Hey,
got it!
woo, we did it!
All right.
Gosh, we are powerful
We are
casters.
on fire.
That is, oh.
Loving it.
And that's how you interpret and analyze the Chinese meta.
To be honest,
there we go.
I feel like a winner already.
And well deserved.
Can we just go? Like, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
Let's just face it. Even with Illidan, this is as good as it gets for us.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we don't need a post-draft discussion because we had the post-draft discussion during the entire pre-draft discussion of what we wanted, so we had to deliver there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, out there as well, and the gentleman on the desk here.
That
How
felt good.
Yeah.
It really good.
Did it?
How confident are you in that Illidan pick?
I'm not at all.
No, they're going to lose.
But it's awesome that we have him. Like, okay. Well,
I'm waiting for you to be serious.
you needed to say it, right? Making it so much harder right now.
Now Calder is the bad guy.
Don't stop.
Trixler, how confident
Okay.
are you in that Illidan pick?
Super confident.
No. Let me get back to this for just... Hey, I'm just in serious mode again, okay? I actually think they have... I like the way that they're playing this. This is at least aggressive. I still think there are a lot of tools that BlossoM can use to absolutely shut it down. Isolation, sanctification. There's so much that they have.
Junkrat.
But I like what TheOne has because it has a clear line of thinking. It's like we dive in with the Anubarak, we use Illidan with the Hunt as well. We commit completely to it. Greymane follows it up, and then we try to burst the target away after using Cocoon on Rhaegar. I like that. It's old school. We've seen it in Europe. It works if you are aggressive. I feel this from everything that I expected from the Chinese, from everything that I expected from TheOne as a team, and from Hugo. I like this draft probably the most from all three, just because it's right down their alley.
And the great thing about this draft, too, is if they do find momentum, they can run with it. With their ability to get a pick or two with that Illidan, Greymane, being able to find a target and destroy them, allows them to transition straight into a boss call post 5 minutes. And with a Scatter Arrow build coming in from the Hanzo, with the addition of Illidan and Greymane, they can do it at any point in this game if they find even a small amount of a lead. So TheOne will be looking for that small amount of lead as we head straight into the game, straight to landing for both of our teams.
Yeah, and the one thing that I appreciate immediately as we're heading into that game is that when it comes down to Illidan, we see him also, right away from the get-go, bust out the Hero League build, going straight for unending hatred.
Seasoned Marksman. Looking for those stacks, getting that extra damage in. It does indicate that he will be in the side lanes pretty often. Probably going to be a hunt gain from him. Typically, you see that immolation to help out with camps, and Hugo's actually going straight into the camps already. And this is kind of worrisome a little bit because you're wanting to stack that marksman stack, right? So you want to be in the lanes pretty often.
Yeah, I feel they could have used Greymane for that.
Yes,
that would have been
could've.
my personal preference here, leaving Illidan on the lane, Greymane on the camp, so just switching the two of them out. So he's going to miss out on a few potential stacks for the unending hatred. Maybe we're only going to get the 10,000, not the 10,001.
He's going straight to the night camp too. Okay, well, I guess he'll stack those later on. A little patience from both of our teams here, trying to set up the night camps. Typically, you want to wait for your opponent to grab it first, and then you react.
Green note, by the way, looks funny.
It does look great.
Yeah. It's a little...
It's the little things in life that you have to cherish.
It's the Hulk-colored tiger.
The Hulk?
The Hulk is green.
Yeah, okay. Why did you just say green?
Because he looked fierce.
That's true.
Green and fierce.
BlossoM is setting up a pretty aggressive fight into TheOne here. The Night Camp coming across, but TheOne will get the upper hand as they'll have their own Night Camp set up for defense. And they also have their Giants to grab on the bottom right. They have yet to grab, by the way.
I like this timing a lot from TheOne. So now they are in a position where they have the advantage with their own camp. Of course, Junkrat is trying to mess that up immediately. But outside of that, that's definitely a decent start for them right into this. Grabbing also a bit of a Wolf Run focus from Rhaegar, going for his wolf form focus here. And now, with a very nice timing on the camp, we have Rhaegar capping the top. So they're going to get a lot of value out of the Siege Giant camp since the Tribute is spawning at the bot lane.
Especially with the Hawk up there to help bolster up that push and be able to get some turrets. BlossoM also have a wonderful delay, both between Tyrael and Junkrat, and even Genji when they need to come in. And there's that delay already on display as Zato is trying to grab the Tribute, but with Gondor coming in there with the Eldruin, it's be kind of difficult to finish this off.
TheOne gets interrupted here again. Good stun though. Nice follow-up. Here we go. It is party time, boys. First blood on the side of the Chinese team. TheOne taking the kill against Tyrael, and that should result into Tribute number 1 also being grabbed by them. Now, of course, it was a bit of a calculated shenanigan play that we saw with the Haka up at the top, but still, Illidan is taking the lane here as well, so they're not losing out on too much. I like it.
Especially with the Modern being in the middle too with the Junkrat. They knew 2 were away, so they went for the full aggression. Even if they didn't get the kill on Tyrael, getting him low and backing him away would have given him that Tribute. So TheOne, with a level 7 talent here over their opponent, a push in the bottom lane, and a Tribute on their side, they're in a pretty solid position. Meng, however, a little out of position, is taking some harassment, trying to get away, and even with a butt bite, still able to back up.
Yeah, but Zada, he has his back here. Uther with his buddy, making sure that Greymane does not go down, and we have Hehe already at the side, trying to see if he can maybe set up a flank. But we have BlossoM sniffing it out, or at least rotating as a double, so Anubarak played it safe, moved back for now. But that's now the second Tribute, and we have teams starting to rotate in right away to fight for it.
Now, this is an important time for TheOne. One, because they want to grab the Tribute and try to set themselves on a course to get a curse on the next Tribute afterwards. But secondly, that the boss is about to spawn in a couple of, 20 seconds here at 5 minutes. So if they can get a kill here or 2 on BlossoM and grab the tribute, they can also turn around and snap grab their boss because they have that scatter arrow build here for Hanzo. So a very important time for BlossoM to either decide not to die or to win a team fight.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Illidan has now started to rotate also a lot more aggressively onto the lanes just so that he starts to get these unending hatred stacks. So we've been criticizing him a bit at the beginning when he prioritized camps quite heavily that Greymane could also have focused on, but right now it's time to get that damage in. And camps are starting up here, position at the front already, Gonda is moving in, Illidan is also starting to join up, a 5 versus 5 now as the backline is being attacked, and Modern is in trouble, and there it is, the kill against Junkrat, the one with the aggression. We were hoping for it, we were looking for it, we were now finally getting it.
We're getting the aggression, and TheOne can grab some more here. Rhaegar goes in for an aggressive bite, and TheOne turns around and takes him out too. That is 2 takedowns, level 9 up here for TheOne. They go towards their tribute. Everything is paying off here for TheOne.
Illidan clearly their lord and savior.
First ban if they lose this game, going into game number 4, calling it now. And here is where the payoff really does pay off. TheOne turns around with the scatter arrow, but look at it just chunking down this boss. They're able to take it right away. BlossoM should be able to assume this is happening. They could start their own boss. The problem is it's too late at this point as TheOne has already cleared it out and they have level 10.
And we've been talking about momentum, and here it is. So Illidan with 14 stacks on the unending hatred so far. Quest talents also progressing for especially a Nuburak who is currently attempting to get his Regeneration Master done. But while the boss has been taken by TheOne, the only thing that BlossoM can aim for is another Night Camp.
TheOne continues to push in the top left corner. They can leave Illidan in a spot to double soak or even threaten taking the fort to the south side if BlossoM does not negotiate their resources well enough here to defend those 2 lanes pushing in. TheOne continuing this momentum that we were talking about. Do they continue to push forward for the keep wall, or do they pull back and look for a curse? It looks like it will be the latter.
Yeah, it's time for a curse here, and BlossoM is about to hit their own level 10, so they can contest it if they want, but that also means that the boss will still do some damage to the top keep wall. Illidan has his pseudo-global now. We have the hunt, so he can move in whenever he wants to. And the target, the primary target in this case, could be Rhaegar if he's too far out. If not, it's always a good option to just cocoon Rhaegar and go for Junkrat in the meantime.
Even a Genji that might dive too far as well. We'll watch TheOne here as they set up for the defense. BlossoM feeling a little bit more confident here with their level 10s and also understanding the pressure of this curse coming their way. Steps up to push in.
Illidan is getting ready. He's moving in position into range for the hunt. Pressure on Hey, needs to be careful. No cocoon used yet. Here they move. Cocoon is immediately being used. Ancestral comes through. Cocoon in this case on Tyrael actually. Nuburak in trouble. The sanctification is through. The Riptire rips him apart. Down goes Illidan. Down goes the Nuburak. And that is a double, a triple kill against TheOne as BlossoM turns up the heat.
The song completely shutting down that aggression from TheOne. The cleanse into the Ancestor healing even early to make sure Junkrat can live through it. And then Tyrael coming out, the sanctification was just enough for BlossoM to finish up that fight.
And this, kids, is why we usually cocoon the healer.
That's why we take them out as soon as we can. And it felt like a Nuburak was actually trying to get into position to do so, but couldn't quite get close enough. And Rhaegar dancing around the bushes too made it a bit difficult.
Yeah.
And TheOne just unable to finish up with that cocoon, went for Tyrael instead.
I mean, Rhaegar, of course, knows exactly that he is the primary target in the situation. Either to be blown up if he's too far out, and if not, that cocoon can hit him. So he's going to be the one who will be extremely careful here. But we still have an advantage in experience for our Chinese team in red. TheOne has a half level until they hit level 13. We have still a boss on the map, and let's not forget that they still lead in tribute. So this is another opportunity for them to get the curse against BlossoM.
And the good news is, too, they'll have heroics, a good 10 to 15 second window available to them over the Sanctification and Dragon Blade. So if they can force the fight right away, they should be in a pretty solid position here to put themselves in a spot to win this fight. BlossoM, on their hand, has to stay safe and poke.
Also, stalling would work in their favor as well, because we have a camp pushing through the mid lane very aggressively.
Oh, good point.
Granted, Dehaka at the top lane is also accompanied by a Siege Giant camp. Illidan on 9 minutes in now completing his quest on level 1, so things are looking decent for the red team, and they get the curse.
They get the curse. A cocoon comes out too. It's going to be on Genji. Hugo goes in for the fight, jumps straight on top of Modern, looks to focus him down. Cocoon gonna be already expiring here, so Sanctification will be coming out on the bottom side. And the song trying to dance away. He's able to pop on out, but Hugo, he gives chase.
And they are all going in right now, and they have a very good shot at taking taking someone down here. I like the arrow, by the way, hitting the Cocoon just in time. Fantastic time there we saw there. The Haka is down. He's already eliminated, and they are moving past the fort. They want more in the mid lane. As already said earlier, we have one Knight Camp taking down the structures. The fort is going to fall. All three of them are going to fall. The question is, how much more can the one get?
There's still a Divine Shield up. They jump on top of Genji. Dudu drops his deflect, is able to back up for now. Nasong also dropping off the heals to keep as the next target here for Hugo.
And Hugo is just absolutely on it right now. He is showing why he is known for his Illidan play. They're going in, they are aggressive. 14 more seconds and they want to keep 10 minutes into the game, and they are in a position where they can definitely set themselves up. They're trying to go for the kill instead right now. The pressure onto the keep would be absolutely fantastic for them, but the counterplay already, this Dragon Blade comes out and Genji is looking for a kill, doesn't find it. But the keep has not fallen. Illidan still active in the mid lane, and BlossoM defense.
Active is the correct word here, trying to get that keep low on health, but has to dash out finally. BlossoM has defended. Their keeps still stand. One is bruised and low on health, but they have to keep focus on the one. They could peel back and grab the boss, so they immediately run over and check it.
Yeah, now you could of course argue that the one should have focused on the keep instead of trying to look for that additional kill. They could have gotten it, but now BlossoM is making the boss play. And the one is already a bit too late to really screw that successfully, so they are apparently absolutely happy to just sit tight, get 16 and then defend with the talent advantage against the pressure. Just too late on the rotation, but we also have up at the top lane now an attempt to get their own boss. And let's just face it, if you not only have Illidan, but you also have then Hanzo with a scatter build, you get that one pretty easily.
And they'll take it pretty easily. That'll be pushing on the top lane, moving towards the keep, putting BlossoM in a spot where they have to play defensive.
I want them to push. I want the one to simply ignore the boss at the bot lane, since it has to go through the fort and the keep, and say, you know what, we can push that 16 advantage with the boss, and we are going to make the play for the keep now.
Well, so far it looks like they agree with you, as they are posturing forward. They grab the Watchtower as well. A new Bracken crew are pushing in the middle lane, but should be grouping up the team soon, and they get aggressive. They move for the Giants as well, and BlossoM is not in a position to stop this.
Yeah, they definitely are not. This is very, very sim for BlossoM, and currently this game is looking better than any that we've seen from the one against the Korean team, and this is an easy keep. This could be core if they play their cards right.
I mean, it's looking like it. Look at this boss. It's still at 70%. The Giants are in the back line. Illidan, he's diving onto it.
You have an Illidan, you have a Grey main. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, and they are moving in for it as we speak. The boss is on it, but it's an early boss, so it didn't scale properly, but damage is in. Reptile moving in, trying to go onto Hugo. The Cocoon is already on the ground, but this core is falling, and the one are moving in to take a game of Team BlossoM and put their name onto the scoreboard.
The one brings their identity and finally shows it here in game number 3, and they get a win because of it. The second win for China, by the way, this entire tournament, and you gotta say, you love to see it. Them bringing out that aggression and being decisive in their calls are just enough here to knock BlossoM back for a little bit.
And that's the question again, why Malthael in the last 2 games? Bring us that Illidan right from the get-go. It's what he's known for, and it worked out beautifully well for them. First time we see Cursed Hollow, and immediately the one shuts down BlossoM and runs the momentum. Not making any massive mistakes after they get the lead and playing it well here.
Entering boss mode. That's how easy it is. I mean, you just have to channel the energy. You just have to pick all those comfort picks. He on that Anub'arak looked way more solid than in any tank game before that. We all know what Hugo just did on that Illidan, and it is a common fact. Maybe BlossoM didn't do their homework too well.
Gotta love the aggression, that's all I gotta say. Even on that bottom left part, when we had the Cocoon on top of the Tyrio, and it looked like they were gonna try and set up a big gank on the Tyrio when the Cocoon was about to expire, they immediately switched things up and jumped straight on top of the Junkrat, got a kill, was able to finish the curse. We had BlossoM in a spot where they just kind of gave away that curse instead of trying to fight, looking for more of a defensive posture. I'm just saying, it feels like aggression is a way for this game, or for this team to win. If they ever sit back and try to win a sustained fight, they fall flat completely. I want to see more of this going into game 4.
Yep, I can only echo that. I really would like them to be a bit more aggressive with it. Map is of course going to be a huge factor. What are we going to see next? What is BlossoM going to decide to do? Do they want to have the first pick? Are they simply aiming for the map instead? But yeah, from a draft perspective, I definitely want to see something similar from the one now. I'm just afraid that if BlossoM plays their cards right, we could end up in a situation where they simply say, you know what, let's just ban Illidan out on the second spot. Not as a first ban, you can't really get away with that considering what the meta looks like right now. But as a first ban, I could definitely see them switch into an Illidan instead.
And that's the question too. How often is that Illidan, that relentless aggression, going to work out? Now the BlossoM team is definitely warned about it. Now they should have it on their radar. Can Hugo pull it off several times in a row, or was it really just a once-in-a-lifetime experience for them to take a game home against BlossoM? That all remains to be seen, but we can definitely say that out of nothing, this series is all of a sudden becoming way more interesting for us to follow.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, there's a lot of things that can be changed here on the opposing side in the first couple of pickups. I mean, you get a Mephirian earlier, maybe you get a pickup on an Uther, and suddenly you have more control over that Illidan coming your way. A Twilight Dream can do wonders if an Illidan jumps too far. An Uther with Benediction Stun is always great here. Remember, they had the Rhaegar because they picked a safe pick, trying to make sure they have that cleanse, but Rhaegar doesn't really help against an Illidan coming your way. So there are a lot of things that can change the draft going into game number 4, but if you are the one, you should be aware of these things that are coming your way and just need to draft around them.
Color, what do you, if you were the coach of the one, what would you advise them to do? Go for the Illidan again, boys. Let's make it happen twice.
Wins. Get it? Do you guys get the joke?
I got it.
Nailed it. I'm proud of myself.
We really need to get this.
Can we do this more often? Can we get this panel together more often? This formation?
Yeah,
I'm really starting to enjoy it.
Make sure I'm on 13 hours, 14 hours of being awake, and I didn't get much
go.
sleep last night, and we can definitely just do it all day, man. I'm down.
I mean, seriously, right now, it's just, you're the underdog anyways. Nobody really expects you to necessarily win this, so just play your style.
And what's so surprising as well is the fact that BlossoM is a team in Korea that is well known to play Illidan themselves. There is a reason why we call Wiz the God sometimes on that Illidan. So it surprised me a little bit to see them fall to this very hero so easily, so quickly.
I mean, it's one game. Going in next game, now they know, okay, here's where you guys are strong. And this is where we get to see if BlossoM is a conditioned enough team to respond to that well enough, and they go straight for Towers of Doom. First off, this is one good way to stop Illidan and core rushes that come your way. You can't have your core be attacked. And so we'll be moving into Towers of Doom, which is more of an elongated type of style of battleground. We're not going to be having easy victories coming their way straight to the one. The one will have to work it themselves. Oh, the one's actually got the pick on this battleground.
Yep.
That analysis is all out the window now.
Still, Towers of Doom is not the worst of Illidan maps we have ever seen. There's definitely some ways to make that hero work. It's a large battleground. It's pretty far open. He's good at applying split pressure when you take down those bell towers with your superior sustained damage. You can pick the hunt, join the team when it really matters. So I think it's not out of the realms of possibility.
Okay, bringing our China expert in, what else do they have?
Leoric. On Hugo, you mean, or just in general?
Hugo in particular.
Leoric. He plays a great Leoric. Sonya could work as well, but that's about it. I don't have more.
That's their bag of tricks.
Sorry,
okay,
Hugo. Don't pick the Malthael again.
So we either go into a Nubric Illidan composition again, or we're just trying to go for AFK on lane Leoric.
Maybe.
All right, fair enough. I mean, that's not... Leoric doesn't scream to me the same level of aggression that I expect from Illidan.
You know, that's actually how they qualified for this tournament as well, with a legendary Leoric game coming in from Hugo, being the top damage dealer at the end of the game after level 22 or 3 with constant resets on the Skeletal Swing. So it's definitely a hero that he feels very comfortable on.
That sounds like an interesting game, to say the least. What was the damage dealer?
When you think about China, interesting is a word that comes to mind when it comes to drafts, and we
that
love it.
That is a good point,
you know?
yeah. I mean, the entertainment value that we get is pretty awesome. Tracer banned out twice by BlossoM in the series so far. This is going to be game number 3. The one... My F.
Yeah.
Is Connor getting sick?
I don't know. There's been...
You okay, buddy?
Maybe he stayed too close to Jehao.
Yeah.
If you've been following us on social media, then you know what we're referring to.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit worried about him.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Take good care, Josh. We don't want to lose you.
The one thinking about this pretty
Jehao
aggressively
has become a very expressionistic character.
Yeah.
A very colorful bird in our cage of casters.
A parrot.
A parrot.
A parrot.
Talking a lot of... yeah, okay. I'm dropping this right now. Maiev, thank you. Okay. I'm always scared when I see them hesitate on this one because they already nearly let it through last time. So Genji is once again taken. And I feel if this is the thing. If you really think, okay, Hugo, we need you in Illidan, then for me, I would be very afraid that BlossoM bans out Illidan on the second position. Even though, I have to admit that if you go into something along the lines of, let's say, Uther Greymane again, the same opening they used the last time, the reaction of BlossoM was to ban out Abathur, and Abathur is pretty darn good on this map. So, even if Illidan is banned out, but you get access to Abathur instead, you are in a spot where you're saying, okay, this is actually looking pretty cool. We have a copy on Greymane. Good luck.
Yeah, you definitely have to consider that when thinking about the draft. And it's a weird spot because, like, suddenly if you pick an Illidan, you grab the Tyrael instead, you get the Uther. No matter what you do, you give some kind of protection over to that Genji.
The other thing is that I also feel BlossoM has showed their hands already a bit when it comes to Abathur play, because they pick it very early. Because BlossoM has banned out Abathur twice, and to me that signals we don't play Abathur. So there's no reason why they would pick it away. But apparently TheOne has already identified that with all the Abathur bans coming through, they will never have a shot of heading into Abathur themselves, so they pick it super early together with Uther, drop Greymane for now. So Greymane, Illidan still available as potential substitutes for Abathur. And yeah, I'm liking this. Let's see how BlossoM reacts to it. BlossoM banning Abathur, and the reaction of TheOne is, you know, we're just going to pick him, and we're going to try and get some good synergy for him later on in the draft.
And even if Greymane gets picked away by BlossoM now or gets banned in the second round, there's still other ways to make Abathur work, right?
Totally.
There's still the mage route. Like, we haven't seen a lot of mage play in this tournament necessarily, but there's always the Jaina threat. Even a Gul'dan could come in very handily.
There's always a mage threat. There's always the possibility of double Arthas as well,
Absolutely.
which is incredibly good when it comes to control. For now, BlossoM will move into Malfurion and Garrosh, the 1-2 combo that we saw a lot on Friday. Throwing a target into a Malfurion route usually equals dead target.
Think back to the game that CE played at the very first day of this tournament, when they went stun, stun, stun all day long with a double Anubarak, an Uther Divine Storm. I think maybe TheOne could go in a similar route here.
Could be. We've seen a lot of displacement / CC type of compositions, and if you have the coordination, which is something they pride themselves on, you can pull it off.
I also have... I think Li Ming might be a decent ban, considering that BlossoM already played it before. I also have to correct something. Now, BlossoM plays Abathur. They don't play him on all the maps, but on Towers of Doom, they've actually shown him once. More often than not, they're banning Abathur out, but if they play him, I think we've seen them so far only use him on Towers of Doom, one of the reasons why TheOne might have tried to pick him early. And the last time it was also with a Zeratul setup. But for now, they're more worried about having something along the lines of the Rat again coming in and nibbling away at a potential victory. So, ban against him it is, and that is the second time that they're banning. The third time, actually, that they're banning Junkrat.
Yeah, the Illidan, look at that respect they've got from the Hugo right now. I mean, if you ban away the Junkrat, you're kind of giving away what you're trying to do. Junkrat is all about causing mayhem, dislocating people with a concussion mine, especially on Towers of Doom. It's so tricky sometimes. If you fall behind a wall, it takes you so long to get back. So what is susceptible to that? A full aggression style with Illidan, maybe with a Greymane. So I actually quite like that Junkrat ban.
Just in general, too, just having that Garrosh on the opposing side and having double displacement is very annoying to deal with. And if you have to tiptoe around a fight, which is something TheOne is showcasing they do not want to do, it is a weird position to be in. And speaking of weird positions to be in, Malthael picked up again for TheOne, Greymane as well. Will the Malthael pay off for them this time?
I feel it has to. The way that they've been banning, so for me, it's simply, as we said before, I expected them to go for Uther Greymane at the start and then putting BlossoM into a spot where they need to either ban Abathur or Illidan. They decided against it and said, we prioritize Abathur higher. So there was a chance that BlossoM on their second ban takes out Greymane because they don't want to risk a double Greymane, also a Greymane with a symbiote, or Illidan. They decided to favor out Illidan, so I feel that TheOne is absolutely okay with this setup. It's one of those things that you have to expect if you go for the gamble with the opening that they chose. So instead they head for the third time now into Malthael. They lost both times that Hugo played on Malthael, but this could be the difference, especially since he's still in a position where he can use the camps, which he has done on Sky Temple, on Dragonshire quite frequently. So if he dominates the top lane through that, that would work in their favor.
Looking for more damage for BlossoM to finish out this draft. It'll be a Hanzo, and then a global to answer back that Abathur. Dehaka again for WizGod.
Yeah, so currently BlossoM with the question, okay, what's better than one Overwatch character? It's two Overwatch characters.
Simple
so
math.
They get both of the brothers, twice the value.
Yeah, and you know, heroes like Dehaka that can apply a little bit of global pressure are normally very good against Abathur because due to the lack of an additional body in the early game, you can't always keep those cheeky side lane pushes in check. And for that reason, oftentimes we see in Hero League like these infamous combos with Lost Vikings against Abathur. Of course, not really to be implemented here in the professional scene. The Vikings are long lost and gone, but there's a similar principle here, so I like the Dehaka pickup, although I think it was actually Wiz himself who said that he's not in the best spot in the current meta right now.
You just made me sad.
The Vikings?
Yeah.
It would be great to see them, though.
Liquid tried them.
Yeah.
They actually did on Curse, and it didn't really work out for them. But it makes me sad. I like them.
Well, you like this guy, too. A guy with a beard and a hammer. Murden coming in for the 5th pick for the 1.
Yep, because he kicks ass.
That he does. He said it in the trailers.
Yes, he
Quite literally.
He did.
Yeah.
We won't get fined for this, right?
A wee bit overshadowed. I'm horrible with that accent.
Not only that,
No, I thought you nailed it. I was like, wow,
Really?
is Murden in here? Like, what's going
but
on,
Murden at
guys?
the same time is just such a fabulous target for an Abathur. Like, we can't forget
Yep.
about the resilience, the self-regen he gets from that. He can become an unstoppable machine.
I mean, the targets here are all great. I mean, Malthael to a degree. You have the Grey Mane.
Malthael copy cannot be underestimated.
Yeah, and then you have the Murden as well. Later on the stage, 13-16, when he becomes the 4 second sit on the back line and really do what he wants, so he continues to hold that back line, and you can have their hat on top of it. It becomes annoying. This is a good composition for late game for the 1, but I'm just worried because I feel like besides game number 3, the early game so far, they haven't really been in control.
I still like that draft more than what we've seen in the first 2 games, and they have just taken a map of BlossoM, so if they can make that 2, then I'm going to be a happy panda. If they just put up a good fight, then I feel this is also respectable. So let's head straight into this, especially with Abathur being the little slugger, the little game changer that usually wins you easily the solo lane. So that should give Malthael a bit of an edge, but yeah, we're heading into game number 4. BlossoM going up against the 1, still in the lead and 1 map win away from taking the series and advancing to the next round.
So we're going to keep an eye on Gondor and the song here. So far, they actually on Friday had some pretty good synergy between the Malfurion and Garrosh combo, getting a lot of early picks. The 1 will play a little bit more reserved to see if they don't get picked off. And speaking of getting picked off, an immediate throw here for Hee straight into a root will chunk him down to a quarter health. But that's one of the appeals of playing a Murden. Typically, he can take a brunt fight at the beginning.
You do not simply take down the dwarf.
You simply do not. That is very, very true.
Yeah, he survives, and he's good at doing exactly that.
Living and being handsome is the goals and life of a Murden player. So already, the clear for the 1 helping out pretty helpfully here. And they're grouping up as 4, and just letting Abathur just kind of side soak.
I'm really happy that you summed up what Murden's life is about, because I was going for standing tall, and then I remember that that's the one thing that he can't do.
You can't go that. That's kind of mean, man. That's hitting him at the knees.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
I can't get that low.
Oh boy, the 1 are doing all right here controlling the bottom side. My question is, how are they going to handle the sapper phase that you typically see from a lot of teams? Malthael's peeled off. He's trying to help out the Abathur. With Dehaka pushing in, it starts to become kind of annoying, and you'll start to lose out some of that turret damage there. So if they go into sappers, they have to be careful, because BlossoM does have a pretty strong invade team with Garrosh leading the charge.
Yeah, but as long as Malthael is around there, I feel you can definitely pull it off. And here comes once again Abathur moving in immediately. Also, we need to talk about his build in a second, but Meng first of all gets taken out, and yep, that did not work well. Hey is also trying to escape here, but the ninja might be too much. It doesn't work. And talking shield, that was what I was about to mention, because we have a symbiote build for Abathur. So we don't see the meta build, which is exactly what you just mentioned, shield focused.
Typically getting that Carapace coming in there, giving you the heals. If that had been there, perhaps Murden could have survived, but a different build coming in from the 1. But losing those sappers, that hurts, especially in the early game on your side of the map. When you have sappers pushing into you, that means your opponents can typically move into their sappers, grab that pressure already, which hurts right before the 3 altar phase. But the 1, they answer back. Hugo and crew find a kill on Genji.
That was actually an important one, because BlossoM was starting to take a significant lead in the experience, so getting that kill mitigates that to an extent and allows for at least a short period of relief where you can take a camp at the top lane quite easily. So that was a very, very important move right here. So right now, we still have a bit of pressure at that bot lane through the Sapper camp, as we are seeing here, but up to the top, One camp taken, Malthael claiming it, moving back and preparing for the triple altar phase, where we're going to see an even exchange between the top left, top right. The Slug even moving out aggressively to capture it. Interesting. And in the meantime, everybody else is just trying to go through the bot lane to get this one.
A bold move by that Abathur too, especially with the Genji on the field and him already being at half health from the earlier harassment. He did have a Malthael to back him up, but woof!
Yeah,
it's scary.
Slug with a suicide wish, if you ask me, but it worked out.
Sure did. BlossoM taking an experience lead and also looking to take a core lead here as they channel the altar. Oh, the cocktail barely missing. Gondar is able to finish the channel, get a few more shots on the core, and BlossoM will take a lead, 36-32.
Yeah, expected them to delay it a bit more, but didn't quite work out for them because of the range decrease. So now Wiz at the top lane, doing his thing against Malthael, but this is exactly what we've been mentioning a bit earlier. If you have an Abathur, then you usually lose the solo lane. That's the one thing that will always happen. The moment you find yourself locked in a 1 versus 1 battle, Abathur is going to start and cheat that.
I'm watching BlossoM here to see if they're going to try and get any more damage on this bottom side. Ooh, a bit of a non-interaction there. A throw into a drag into a possibly dead Hugo. He's trying to juke here. Can he get out? No way he's going to live through this. Kai's on the bottom. He gets the shields. Happen. Okay, he gets picked off, but...
That would have been the escape of the century. But he actually bought a lot of time for the rest of the team, but they need to be careful. This is coming back to the question, how do you move on the map when you don't have vision? And with BlossoM nowhere to be seen, he should have been a bit more cautious in his rotation between lanes, because it's of course something that BlossoM expects. They were waiting for these rotations, and they exploited it quite nicely.
Especially when you have a Garrosh Malfurion combo, you know those two are going to be together, and they're going to need a damage deal with there at some point. So if you do get caught, you're probably going to get picked off. Bit of a mistake there by TheOne, and they are starting to pay for it. 8 to just now 7 hitting here. TheOne will have to deal with the Sappers going to be pushing on the bottom side. Yeah,
that worries me as well. If they can invade and maybe get a kill at some point, that would be fantastic, but the question is, can they really pull it off?
They're trying.
Yeah, they're trying to be aggressive, but this is still rough. Dehaka is at the top, and it's going to come in a second. He's already going for the burrow, but that could be the kill. We have Hehe jumping out. Gondar is down. Can they go for the counter kill, though? Muradin is actually dead, as we see Dudu going in with Genji. Oh, Zato! And there are the resets. It's 1-2. That's a triple, and with Hugo, we could actually see that go into a quad kill even.
That may have been their tournament lives put on a camp. Going aggressive on the bottom side. Sappers are grabbed. Hanzo will grab the bottom altar, and that'll push towards a fort. And if BlossoM can turn this into a bell tower grab on the bottom side against an Abathur composition, it'll be difficult for them to take it back.
You can give a lot up in the early game on this map. This is really one of the best comeback maps that we have in the game if you scale well into the late game, which TheOne arguably does with Abathur in particular. So they just took a massive, massive beating. And now we're seeing them 8 points behind on the core and nearly 2 levels.
And
that's
10?
Rough. Yeah, that's really rough.
Dragon's Arrow into a taunt. And there goes Muradin, taken out right away. The Sappers were not cleaned up. And that Bell Tower, as I just mentioned, was the main focus for BlossoM. And they'll get it easily.
Oh, that hurts. That's rough. Yeah, if you have kids watching this, then send them out of the room, because this is going to get ugly.
And it's not looking too good here, as TheOne loses their altar to the bottom right. They do answer back with the consolation prize by grabbing Sappers to the north, and that will take out a turret. Nope, not even a turret there, as it goes straight into the gate. Finally, one gets picked off. That gives them some experience. So now it all comes down to getting 10, trying to win a team fight on the next altar phase, which is the 1-for-1, which means BlossoM doesn't have to take it. BlossoM decides to even get aggressive and go for a boss.
I mean, can you blame them right now? This is really just one of those moments where the world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want. They could focus another bell tower easily if they wanted to, but this is just shot after shot fire. They invade the camp. TheOne moves in, they do all the work, and then at the last moment, BlossoM moves in and says, thanks boys, we're going to take it from here. Take that down, try to see if they can maybe get more, maybe get a kill. And you know what? In the meantime, while this defense is starting with only 10 seconds left, we have 2 altars spawning up at the top, and BlossoM could maybe even grab both of them, but they're not getting too aggressive here. Wiz is saying, okay, let's not throw this away. We have a massive advantage. Let's not risk too much here.
Yeah, they don't have to. They just got 3 Sappers to go into the bottom, which is a fine trade itself. They get 5 more shots coming out of the core. TheOne has yet to grab their altar, so they put a little bit of pressure on Genji here, who was trying to delay. TheOne should be able to get this channel, as it looks like Garrosh and Malfurion are nowhere near close enough. So they at least weather this storm, but look at the core shots. It's not looking good for them here,
Yeah.
as 33-16 will be the current score at 8 minutes into the game.
Less than half the shots. Here comes the
Abathur.
arrow.
Miss.
Missing Abathur. Lucky.
But the thing is, with that arrow being down, BlossoM goes for a fight. They come around on the flank. Wiz will be able to use the brush truck to come in. And remember, with his bell tower at the bottom right, BlossoM is able to kite away and turn the fight around.
Oh, there comes last rights, and that is a dead Garrosh. Is that maybe the beginning of the comeback? Is the one able to pull that off here? They need to keep Zato alive, and they do.
Whoa.
But Genji is down. Abathur, the slug, is starting to prove some worth.
TheOne having some fighting spirit still in them, and with those 2 pickoffs, they can take their bell tower back on the bottom right if they can get these many ways to be cleared up. Modern's doing his best to slow that down as much as they can, but TheOne starts to put a footing in this game.
Yeah, and they will reclaim the bell tower, as you already said. So, can they come back into this? And you know, this, if they actually start to make a bit of a comeback, they already are in that frustrating spot where they probably ask themselves, what would have happened if early on we would not have invaded that camp and lost the entire team?
Yeah, something to think about, but right now they can't focus on that. They have to focus on staying in the game here and winning the next couple of fights. The next altar phase will be one in the middle, which is definitely one they can win if they're on even talent tiers. And with 30 seconds until that altar does spawn, they can definitely achieve it. They just need to make sure not to get picked off. And it looks like Murden gets away nice and safe.
The camp invade, of course, is a bit annoying, since if BlossoM take this one, they put the immediate pressure onto the bell tower at the bot lane again. But the 13 talent should be there, and that means so much transference for Abathur, and that is amazing if you are a Murden player, or if you are Greymane. Survivability is, in those cases, absolute key, so this is going to make it way harder for BlossoM to sustain, actually fight through these fights and get the kills.
This is definitely doable for TheOne. They have
Healing
set up our
static.
fight.
Also, it's perfect for survivability.
That's right, jumping on the back line. He doesn't mind if he gets caught there by the Garrosh. He'll take the free engage. Gondor, knowing this, hasn't thrown him yet. Wiz will burrow on in and try to potentially force a fight, while the rest of BlossoM will start the channel.
Yeah, and the channel is nearly through, but here comes the interrupt. Nice Stormbolt angling though. Tranquility being used, and it's party time, baby, as they are starting to move in here. Already, Hugo looking to drop Genji, or at least get him lowered. Here comes Murden, goes in and starts with a clap. Immediately the Stormbolt following up. Genji moving out barely, but TheOne is really bringing the punishment now.
Yeah, Dudu takes the damage from last rights, gets chunked out and has to walk away from the fight, and Song will have to heal him on up. But Hugo starts the channel with the block there from Murd, and Hugo almost gets it, but he actually just get interrupted.
Takes the arrow to the knee, but in the meantime, Genji is down, and that is only the beginning. We have Hehe maybe in trouble, but here's third wind, and that's going to kick in just a second. But the tongue, the drag, Greymane down as BlossoM is showing signs of life in this battle.
That they are, but Hugo's wanting to win this fight. He turns around, he jumps on Wiz. Wiz with the burrow, will survive. Hugo gets thrown over the corner. Gondor forcing the kill. Wiz hitting a drag as well on top of Uther. Looks like Zato's gonna be down. He trying to get out of the fight, but Modern with the landing on top of him and the auto attack will get the kill.
What a fantastic team coordination by BlossoM. Several times it looked as if TheOne would just clean house, and then at the end of the day, it's BlossoM with the quad kill. Everybody with the exception of Abathur is eliminated, and they get the channel. Super impressive what BlossoM just pulled off here.
All coming down and catching that Greymane, being able to land that tongue and focus him down, taking away the damage from TheOne. Hugo just not enough on that Malfield to secure the kill. BlossoM opening up the map, moving towards level 16, pushing in the bottom lane, getting that bell tower low, and taking sappers. They're back on track from where they were earlier in the game.
As he said, that one kill, that was all that they needed here, and they Haka, a tongue like a homing missile, making sure he gets like through the little corners there and somehow connecting. I don't even know how, because that looked like an impossible skill shot to land, but he pulls it off. They get the kill against Greymane. With him gone, even the Abathur and Murden combo couldn't really stain it. Now the problem, of course, 16, just on the horizon for BlossoM.
And the 3 altar phase is about to be coming up here, where BlossoM with having Dahaka should be in a position with that 16 talent tier that you mentioned to grab 1 to 2 of these altars. TheOne using a mule there to keep that bell tower on top, nice and healthy, but the middle, Murden getting focused, but he's able to hop out.
Yeah, the arrow actually hitting full force here, and now he hops out. He gets the immediate help of Abathur. Abathur even committing to the copy here, going for the double Greymane. Not sure if he really needed to burn that cooldown, but with Avatar already being used, it felt that they were trying to force a fight here, even though they don't have level 16 yet. But now that the copy altar expires, they find themselves in an awkward position as the triple altar is 15 seconds away from activating.
Exactly. 60 seconds until we have the Ultimate Evolution back. Also, Avatar, a full minute as well. TheOne behind in a talent and behind in heroics. With Hanzo having his Reckon Zero up in about 30 seconds, he should be able to force a fight soon if BlossoM can delay long enough to the bottom part of the map. TheOne grabs their ult to the top right with the help of Abathur. Can they delay on this bottom side or even grab it in time? So far, BlossoM is sharking on it.
With the way Abathur is playing this, I'm just waiting for the Haka at some point burrowing behind him and taking him down.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I really was just waiting for it, and I think he's tempted every single time he sees him there.
He's getting cheeky, but I feel like at the same time, he kind of has to be cheeky. They're in a do-or-die situation with them being so far behind. Taunt comes out, Dragon Zero, Dragon Blade, and that is going to be members of TheOne being deleted here as they get turned into ramen by Genji.
Genji is just going zoom, zoom from side to side and takes them down. It's a triple kill. That was a fantastic taunt into Arrow. It results in a quad kill, and that is an altar to channel and a boss to take. This is going to be game, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll see if Abathur, with his ability to auto-attack opponents, can he walk in and steal this boss away, because BlossoM is on their way towards the said boss. And remember, this is a Hanzo with WB. Look at how quick they chunked this puppy down. That's right. BlossoM finishes up this boss. Abathur doesn't come in, and if he did, he would be thrown away. BlossoM takes his series with a 3-1 over TheOne.
Taking the game here in a great victory for Team BlossoM. They slipped once, and that was of course on Cursed Hollow, but now they have taken the series and they're going to move on, making the rest of the tournament an all-Korean affair.
Yep, the last Chinese team is now officially out, but I will say, from TheOne, at least we got to see some new blood come to an international tournament, and they showcase what they can do, which is pull off some aggressive compositions. Now, from here, it's all about growth in them, trying to figure out what works for them, what they can switch up into. If their Illidan gets banned out, they need to make sure they have a plan B and a plan C available, but they have some progress, and that's good to see. It makes me happy for them. I want them to have some courage coming out of this tournament.
Especially since we have to acknowledge how the series went. They got slapped around in the first 2 games without even having a chance. Then they said, okay guys, this isn't working, let's be aggressive. They play their Illidan composition and they actually win. They go for an early core call, which I think was very well executed. And then on the third map, a few decisions where you can say, okay, that backfired, especially going for the camp and then falling far behind, but fighting their way back in with a bit more experience, with the big cleaner calls. That game could look different, or at least make it a lot more difficult for BlossoM. So from all the teams that we have seen from China going up against Korea, this I liked by far the most, because I can see the thought process. I can see that there's a lot of room for development there, whereas with SPT I was very, very frustrated with a lot of the calls that they made. But this is really just a bit of a lack of experience, finding themselves now in this territory here. But they have shown aggression, and every single time they believed in themselves, they made the series look a lot closer. So I can get behind this. This was well played by them.
Yeah, we like the aggression, but it has to be with certain compositions. You have to identify when you have to give things up, and that was a full display on Towers of Doom when they got aggressive in that bottom left sapper camp. Had they played a little bit more passively there and said, you know what, give this away, we don't have to invade on our opponent's side of the map, by the way, with an Abathur composition, they would have been in a spot where they weren't penned into weird situations and they got picked off towards that late start of the game.
What I really feel it comes down to is we always hear that echoed when we heard it, for example, when North America started to go to, or some of the North American teams started to go to the international events again. We've also heard it with teams that practice in Korea, where they said, we can get away with this back home. But once we are on the international stage and we play against the best from each region, all of a sudden we can't play compositions anymore, make calls anymore that work back home in the league environment. And I think that's something that we've seen here displayed immediately. That call for the camp might have worked in China, where you know you have the better execution, you have the better team coordination, and you can through that win the fight and then get ahead. Here it didn't work out, but that's a lesson that you learn, and that's somewhere where you can adapt the next time that you move.
Now, with that being said, BlossoM gets the big win. We're happy for TheOne, but BlossoM will be the one moving forward, and we have our 4 Korean teams still left in the tournament. Very excited to see how BlossoM and Tempest will face off tomorrow, as BlossoM has shown a little bit of growth themselves here at the tournament this weekend. It feels like they're coming together as a unit, making the necessary plays in certain situations, but I want to hear from them. Let's go to Kendrick, who has an interview ready with BlossoM.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Kendrick, and I'm being joined by Wiz from Team BlossoM, the winners of this last best of 5. They took out TheOne in pretty dominant fashion. And my first question to Wiz is going to be actually related to the previous series they played today against Ballistics. So, 안녕하세요, Wiz. Thank you for joining us here. And I wanted to ask you, when you played against Ballistics, you faced them in the first game against a double support composition. Now, you won that game really well. What is your opinion on double support in general right now?
유기 선수 먼저 승리를 축하드립니다. 그 일전에 있었던 발리스틱스의 경기에 대해서 첫 번째 질문을 드리고 싶은데요. 그 첫 번째 경기에서 발리스틱스가 더블 서포트를 사용했고 그 블라썸이 승리를 거뒀습니다. 더블 서포트에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시나요?
일단 당해본 입장으로서 발리스틱스 투지온 조합은 일단 엄청 셌고 초반 라인전이 엄청 셌고 저희가 운 좋게 용기사를 타가지고 초반을 잘 넘긴 것 같아요. 그래서 저희 팀이 이제 후반에 엄청 센 조합인데 그렇게 잘 넘겨서 이긴 것 같아요.
So actually, it was really good. It was really strong in the early game. But fortunately, we have a dragon 2 times, and our ban pick is going to be getting better and better at the late game. So I think we can win the game at the late game.
All right, awesome. And my second question about this Eastern Clash is for you right now. The Chinese teams, they didn't really do so well. In fact, they weren't able to win a single series against the Korean team. Are the Korean teams just better at the moment, or what could the Chinese teams do better?
이번에 두 번째 질문은 그 중국 팀들이 이번 이스턴 클래시 한국 팀들을 한 번도 이기지를 못했는데요. 그 이유는 어떻다고 생각을 하시나요?
중국 팀이랑은 이렇게 직접 경기하는 건 처음이라서 잘은 모르겠지만 중국 팀이 강해진 건 맞는데 그만큼 한국 팀도 성장하고 강해져서 그런 것 같아요.
This is my first play against the Chinese team, but I think they are getting better. However, the Korean team we've got better and more experience than Chinese team.
Yeah, and speaking of that last series that you played against TheOne here, that one game that didn't really go so well, that was against Illidan. And I know that you're in favor of Illidan yourself. You played a lot in the HGC Korea. What is your opinion on Illidan, and how do you rate him in the current meta?
이제 1, 2단에서 대해서 세 번째 질문 드리고 싶은데요. 지금 HGC 코리아에서 많이 플레이한 것으로 알고 있는데 지금 현재 메타에서 1, 2단에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시나요?
저는 1, 2단이 요즘 메타에 못 쓰인다고 생각했는데 당해본 입장으로서 좀 당황스러웠고 확실히 중국이 1, 2단을 잘하는 것 같아요.
In my opinion, I think it's not a quite good pick in current meta, but we did not expect the Chinese team is going to use the Illidan, but I think the China team, they are very good at playing the Illidan.
All right, and last but not least, Wiz, I know that you were invested in the English scene and the North American scene back in the days. So maybe to conclude this broadcast, do you have some words in English for your international fans out there?
위즈 선수 지금 그 서구권의 그 커뮤니티에 상당히 많이 알려져 있고 많은 활동을 하셨었는데요. 일전에 그 서구에 있는 팬들에게 한마디 해주기.
Thank you for watching my games and I love NA, EU, China and Korea.
Hey, thank you very much. A round of applause there for Wiz. Wonderful words to end today's broadcast, but we're not done just yet. We're going to have one final day of Eastern Clash goodness. Tune back in tomorrow to find out who's going to become the champion. A lot of high-profile Korean teams are still in the race, so we'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching.